Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, April 23rd, 8:46 a.m. And we are live again, once again, for another market open. Today is going to be a very interesting day in the world of the stock market. And the reason today is going to be a very interesting day in the world of the stock market is because we've got Tesla earnings. This is going to be a very interesting day. I don't know if interesting is good or bad, but we're going to cover our Tesla earnings preview this morning. And then at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be live and we will be going through all the juicy details of what happens in the world of Tesla. It's exciting. I'm already a little nervous. I think everyone has to have a little bit of jitters. I can't imagine what Elon's feeling. Maybe he doesn't even give a shit anymore. He's done like 50 of these at this point. Or maybe he's actually a little nervous given how the stock has performed and, whatever he says is going to matter a lot. So we've got a lot to talk about and a lot to get into when it comes to discussing what's going on in the stock market. Now, before we get started, I want to say two things. Number one, I'm getting a little sick. And I think it's because I forgot to close the window last night. And I don't know if you guys can hear it in my voice, but I woke up and I started sniffling. And also, hopefully that goes away and hopefully that doesn't become a big deal. But number two, I had a bad dream last night, dude. I had a really bad dream, dude. I got to share this dream because this dream is so contextual to what we do every morning. But I legit had a horrible dream and I woke up and I just did not like the dream I had. I did not like the dream I had. The dream I had, dude, it was so weird, dude. I've actually lived the dream I had in reality, which is why it was so upset that I had to live it again in the dream world. Like usually you live a dream and you don't live it in reality if it's so bad. But I lived the bad part of this dream in reality and then I lived it again in the dream. I was in school in my dream. I don't know why I was back in school. I'm 26 years old. I'm going to be 27 in October. I don't know why I'm back in high school. But I still have to do the market open live stream. So school starts at 7:30, 7 a.m. Well, this live stream starts at 8:45. So I had the live stream set up and I'm in class and I'm looking at YouTube and there's 150 people waiting. And then I raise my hand and I'm like, all right, I tell the teacher, okay, I'm going to go do my live stream. And she says, no, you're not. And I'm like, what are you talking? I'm like, I have to go do my live stream. She's like, you cannot leave school. You're a student. You can't. I'm like, but I have the market open to do. And she did not let me go. And it reminded me of when I set up the stupid CPI live stream. And then I was supposed to be live at 8:20. And then I didn't get it live until 9 a.m. because I was sleeping for 40 minutes. And it just reminded me how much it sucked that people had to wait there for 40 minutes and they couldn't get it. And I'm looking at all these comments saying, where's Amit? What the hell's going on? He did this again. Damn it. He did it again. He's sleeping. And in my head, I'm like, dude, no, my teacher just won't let me leave to do the live stream. Legit, that dream was triggering, dude, because that's not fun when you oversleep by 40 minutes to go to a live stream, especially on a big day like CPI. And so in my head, I'm like, dude, am I going to do that for Tesla? I feel like the dream was a warning to not even for a second think of taking a nap before the market closed, which is when we're going to do Tesla live stream. Just straight up, stay awake and do not let anything happen. And then I got mad at the teacher and I got the hell up and I was like, bitch, I'm leaving. And then she was like, nope, you've got detention. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm 26 years old. How do I have detention? I can't have detention. But yeah, I had detention in my dream. So it was a little bit of a triggering dream for me, to be honest. It was not a fun dream. And I hope that this dream does not mean that, well, I've correlated this dream to the fact that I think Tesla's going to tank on earnings. I think the correlation of this dream and the really horrible feeling I felt that I couldn't do the live stream means that Tesla's going to tank on earnings. That's the correlation I'm coming up with. So there we go. We'll see what the fuck happens. But it was a shitty dream, and hopefully Tesla does not have a shitty earnings. Now, on the topic of Tesla earnings, we've got a lot to talk about, so that'll be our first topic to get into it. But one thing I will say is that I do have a bet with my friend Derek. I don't know if you guys were part of the market close yesterday. I have to buy him one physical share of Tesla on giveashare.com. if Tesla is red after 24 hours after earnings. So right now the stock's at 142. So if it's, I guess, anywhere below 142, 141-ish, then I have to give him a share. If it's green, meaning if it's 143, 144, he has to buy me a share. So if it's red and I have to actually spend money on buying a share, I hope it goes down a decent amount so I can get a cheaper price on the share. If it gets to $90, it'll be a cheaper bet for me to have to follow through on versus if it's at $138. So if it's going to tank, let's actually tank this shit. Let's let it go down. And if it's going to go up, then let's let it go up. But I think it's going to be one or the other. If it goes down, it goes down. If it goes up, if it goes up. Steady Oxen says, go grab an orange juice, submit. There's no correlation. Dude, I hated that dream, dude. It's CPI day. I did not feel happy about missing that day because of sleep, something as stupid as sleep, and I missed CPI. Granted, I did stay up for the 5 hours before because I thought I was invincible, but yeah, we're going to make sure we don't do that again. Thank you, everybody, for being here. All right, let's get into it. We've got a lot to discuss today with Tesla. Bitcoin back to 67,000. Inflows are doing very well. Nvidia's up right now above $800. Robinhood had some big buys yesterday after hours. S&P 500, 501 in the pre-markets. We are seeing a lot more momentum. Palantir, 2114, back above 21 bucks. So there's a ton of stuff to discuss. And as we're seeing, the market is continuing to go a bit higher right now in the pre-market. And on top of that, oil is coming down. Oil is coming down as well, which is also really good. So let's get into the Tesla preview, and then we'll keep going from there. First of all, who thinks Tesla is going to do well this morning? Who thinks Tesla is going to do bad? I have a bet that Tesla should go up, so I don't lose the bet. But in my heart of hearts, I think Tesla's going to tank. I think Tesla's going to tank aggressively. I think that Elon is going to try to convince the street about autonomy and robotaxis, and we're going to go through a couple of tweets that he put out. Tesla right here, up 0.32% in the pre-market. He's going to try to convince the street that FSD is becoming so good that they should stop being scared of the potential of what FSD could be and just look to the optimism of Tesla. But I don't think that's going to be as successful as an endeavor, primarily because of the fact that the street is short-sighted. And I do think it's going to create one of the best opportunities for longs over the next few years with Tesla tanking. But if I had to argue, I would say Tesla would tank. It just does not seem like there's a world. I mean, there is definitely a world where Tesla can not tank. But given what we're seeing right now in terms of what the estimates are going to look like, I think it's going to go pretty bad. Now, why am I saying this? There's a couple of things Elon's been tweeting about for the past couple of days that proves that he really is all in on autonomy. So I read this on the market close, but this is a page from page 503 from the Walter Isaacson autobiography of Tesla. And basically, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Elon's fighting with an executive saying that it's my fault if it messes up. We have to do a robo-taxi. We're not going to do a pedal steering wheel. And he says we're not going to do an amphibian frog that's a halfway car. And the executives were, really annoyed on this page because they were like, hey, like, we can't do that. And Elon's like, get it done. I think that is part of the reason, this is my speculation, why Drew Baglino and Rohan Patel are leaving, because if they do not believe that robotaxi legitimately can be achieved in a timeline that would be sufficient enough for investors to be excited, then obviously Tesla's going to be dead money, and it's going to be very tough for the company to be able to progress through that time period, which is maybe the reason why they left. Maybe they're burnt out, but the other reason maybe is they just don't want to work under Elon anymore. Another tweet that Elon liked yesterday: I'm totally thrilled at the likelihood of Tesla launching unsupervised FSD, which is basically full autonomy when it's unsupervised in the markets in the coming 12 months, is increasing dramatically, a move that will inevitably make retail investors very wealthy. So Elon's liking multiple tweets and responding to people that are talking about FSD being on version 13 or 14, even though it's only 12.3 right now, basically implying, hey, this thing is way better than what people think. We have a breakthrough. You guys don't understand that this is going to be one of the most incredible revolutionary products when it comes to AI, software engineering, and overall autonomy. And that is Elon's rabbit up his hat. He knows that the software is getting that good. And I think he's probably right about that. But I think on this earnings, from a short-term perspective, it doesn't matter. I don't think there's much he can say outside of literally saying level 5 autonomy is launching in 2 months. That's going to get the street to be like, all right, in the short term, Tesla is going to be ready to unveil their robotaxi platform. And if that's the case, then I think it's going to be very, very tough for this company to end up doing well. I'm looking at the chat. Most people are saying that it's going to tank. Very few people are bullish, and I get that. And maybe that's the conventional wisdom that goes against everybody, right? That you want to be bullish, or that everyone's bearish so that it ends up turning bullish. But I don't know the scenario where it turns bullish outside of Elon promising robotaxis are coming very soon. Like on 8/8, it's actually launching, and I don't know if it's actually going to be launching on 8/8. Maybe a version of it, but not exactly the full thing. And so we're going to see. I also think the questions, Spotify earnings crush. Yeah, we'll talk about Spotify earnings in a second. I also think the questions that Elon's going to be asked are going to try to get definitive answers on if the M2 is happening or not. And he's a very nuanced answer. He's not going to say it's just not happening, but the street will be able to obviously tell if it's not happening or not. Not happening meaning is like a $25,000 car popping up tomorrow. If that's not happening, if that's just not happening, right? Or if it's not, the production is not going to be implemented until 2026 at the earliest, which most people were thinking by late 2025, it would be out on the road. Then I also think the street's going to struggle with the volumes and the deliveries. Remember, Tesla Tesla put out 387,000 vehicles this quarter, in Q1 in deliveries. That's just not enough cars. They were averaging 430, 420. They need to do 531,000 for the next 3 quarters in order to make this work. And it doesn't seem like they're going to get to 531,000, especially given that EV demand is slowing down. We see this in the Europe numbers, the China numbers, the price cuts. Like, demand is just not good right now for EVs. Now, I'm very curious why Tesla missed on deliveries, because almost every Indian in my neighborhood, which is 90% of the people here, have a Tesla. So I'm really confused. How the hell did these guys miss on deliveries? And it's not just me. We had Farzad, who lives in Austin. I live in New Jersey. Farzad said, I'm trying really hard not to be racist, but I swear every single Indian person in Austin metro area owns a Tesla. And I said, that's not racist. That's just factual. If you are an Indian person living in America and you've somewhat achieved the American dream, let's say, $150,000 in income and you have some decent job, you have a Tesla. And that kind of makes me not want to buy a Tesla because it's so unoriginal. But honestly, if I had the money to buy a Tesla, I would buy Tesla stock. I wouldn't buy a Tesla. But if you've achieved some level of financial security and you're Indian, you feel like you need to show off. Because for some reason Indians, they feel like they need to like prove that they're good or something. And I can say this because I'm Indian. I don't know why this exists, but literally I was driving in my neighborhood yesterday. I saw like 4 Teslas drive past me. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, dude? How did these guys miss on deliveries? We got the whole fucking Patel population buying these damn things. And so it's really going to be interesting to me how Elon justifies the lack of demand and the arguments for why Tesla might not be doing as well as people think, or as like investors wanted them to be over the past 3 months, with the lowest delivery since April of 2022. Now, on top of that, even though Tesla is going down, Cathie Wood made a big bet, 122,000 shares of Tesla yesterday. To be honest, I don't know if this was a good buy, dude. I think we all know Tesla's going to tank after earnings. I don't know why you're buying $17 million of it. Like, if you've got the money to buy, you can wait a day, right? You don't have to jump the gun right now. I like maybe she'll end up being right that like, yeah, the earnings were actually decent, and like she knows something the street doesn't know, or they've done different projections. But it doesn't seem like proper risk management. Like, if the majority of the street and retail and like just smart people that are uber bulls know that the earnings are going to suck, why would you spend 17 million bucks the day before this thing potentially crashes? I mean, and if it doesn't crash, yeah, you have to buy it a little bit higher than what you're getting it today at like 141 or whatever. But why take the risk? From a risk management perspective, didn't make a lot of sense. It's a lot of sense to me. The Wall Street Journal put out this piece today about Cathie Wood that ARK funds have lost $2.2 billion in outflows over the past 90 days. So basically the past basically till 2024, right? Q1. And that's pretty wild. At one point, ARK had about 50 billion in funds in 2021, February 2021, about 48 billion. It's down to about 6 billion. So we have seen the decline of people believing in ARK. The ETF is underperforming the S&P this year, which is tough. I mean, and one of the reasons that's happening, obviously, is because Tesla has gone down. So right now, the ETF year to date is down 15%. The S&P is up about 4%. And the interesting thing about this is that Coinbase has done phenomenally well, and they're like overweight Coinbase, but they bought so much Coinbase at a higher average, and they sold a ton at like $50. It just wasn't, helping the fund go higher. And then obviously Tesla coming down has not helped the fund either. So those two things have been pretty tough for Cathie, but she did make a pretty big purchase today or yesterday going into the print. Let's hear from one of the ARK analysts, Tasha. I respect Tasha a lot. I think she's very smart. Let's get her perspective on why Tesla is still the best story in the market.
Activity. And it's also used in all kinds of derivative trades on Wall Street, things you've probably never heard about, like Delta One strategies, etc. The bottom line is to look at Tesla. A, it's been a massive moneymaker for millions of investors over the last decade. Or 2, in the last couple months, it's not been. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think, at ARK Invest, we're long-term investors and we care about disruptive innovation. So, as you said, Tesla is important to the equity market. I'd say it's important to the world at large. I mean, it's single-handedly pushed forward the electric vehicle industry. I think it's going to do the same for autonomous driving. So that's what we're focused on, that long-term story. And I think that given the recent price action, it really suggests that investors are ignoring what I believe will be a massive opportunity in the robo-taxi network. And I think that's pretty short-sighted.
What's wrong with Tesla stock? You guys do great work, great analysis there. You got a $2,000 price target on the stock. It's a lot higher than it is now. What's wrong with the stock, Tasha?
Well, I think investors are concerned about demand for electric vehicles, demand for Tesla specifically. They're looking at this year's numbers versus last year, at the current growth rate of deliveries. Of course, deliveries did disappoint relative to expectations this past quarter. But I think what they should be focused on is, let's zoom out and look at electric vehicles as a whole. They are now price competitive with gas-powered cars in many ways, thanks to Tesla. And so Tesla is a leader in that industry, and that story is not going to change. So when I think of the auto industry as a whole, Tesla's not immune to interest rates. I don't expect them to be. We heard that they're in between growth curves on the last earnings call. I wouldn't be surprised about some short-term upsets, but I think the long-term story is electric vehicles are here to stay. Tesla's prices are so competitive, it's going to be very hard for any other company to catch up to them at this point, particularly in the US market. And
the prices being competitive means the margins suck, by the way. Like that's what it translates to. So the only way the price is being competitive leads to increased revenue and top line growth is if FSD becomes real, right? Because the margins are, the car is a loss leader to sell the software, but that depends on the software being ready, which is why ARK has this $2,000 price target. It all comes from this idea that robotaxis will scale. And maybe today Elon proves they're getting closer to that vision.
And on software and autonomy, I mean, I think they have a data advantage that is unparalleled.
But yeah, and I've said people don't want electric cars, they want Teslas. I've driven all of them. It's a totally different thing. Does the Cybertruck matter to Tesla? I mean, it's a niche vehicle, got a lot of hype, right? They had a recall, right? There's some pedal issues and whatever. They'll fix that. Does the Cybertruck matter to Tesla stock at all?
Yeah, I'd agree with you in terms of, sort of the short-term thinking around the Cybertruck. I think we actually thought the Cybertruck would be bigger than it was. It turns out they had some, it was harder to manufacture than Tesla thought. So I think, given the price point, it'll stay at like not necessarily a niche car, but certainly lower volumes than we were expecting. But I think what really matters to Tesla, again, it's robotaxis, it's the long-term picture for autonomy. So I'm really excited to hear about what Elon has to say in the earnings call. He's been teasing us all with his Twitter responses about what he thinks that their full self-driving software might be capable of, in the next months to say year or so, and what markets they might enter. And we also have the robotaxi event unveil in August this year, of course. So that's, Tesla's dedicating manufacturing resources to this platform. I think that shows their confidence.
So, the interesting thing about the whole ARK story, right? As all of us have seen it unveil, is that the biggest issue I've had with ARK and ARK funds is that they get paid, from my understanding, to do research that is highly differentiated to provide opportunities from an investment perspective that yield better results for investors. Forget the better results for investors. That has not happened unless you cashed out in 2021. If you did, you were a genius. If not, which most people bought in 2021, including me, I sold I think I had 10 shares at $88. I sold those at 88 that I bought at like 100. So I took a little loss, and then I never touched ARK again. But the big problem with ARK, outside of the investor results that haven't happened, is the research. To me, the research has not been the most magnificent research in the world. So like as a ETF, you're charging this management fee, and you're telling your clients, hey, if you invest with us versus invest in SPY or the QQQ or whatever, we will give you better results and highly differentiated research based on our team of analysts. And I think ARK has done the marketing so well to get us all interested into like their fund and their ideas and all that stuff. And they put out really salacious numbers and things of that nature. But like 2,000 on Tesla in 5 years, their price target, it's the same as they have a $1,500 price target on Zoom by 2026. 2026 is 2 years away. I don't know if that's going to happen. It makes you wonder, are you actually paying for sophisticated research? Are you actually paying for people that are doing research that is better than everyone else? The Wall Street Journal put out this piece today. Cathie Wood's popular ARK funds are sinking fast. Investors have pulled $2.2 billion. So $2,000 on Tesla, like, it sounds amazing, but how do you get there? And I think the lack of explaining how you get there outside of just saying a robotaxi is going to scale, there's a little bit of an arrogance to ARK that, oh, we understand this, you don't understand this, therefore, you're stupid. And unfortunately, the results on the ETFs don't really match the energy. Total assets in those funds have dropped 30% in less than 4 months to 11.11 billion after peaking at 59 billion. Oh, I said it was 50 billion. It was actually 60 billion. So in 2021, it was 60 billion bucks. Less than 4 months up until 2024, 3 years later, it's 11.1 billion. So went from 59 to 11.1 billion, definitely has come down. S&P's up 5%. ARK is down 15%. Not the best, right? Not the best. And some of the bigger movers just haven't performed in the way that, that they thought it would happen. So in the context of Tesla, it's going to be really interesting to see, can that be the saving grace? I do think that if Tesla ends up winning the robotaxi market, which seems like they would have the best chance to do so, just don't know on the timeline, ARK funds would recover significantly, because if Tesla goes to $2,000 a share, I mean, that's going to be a great return from their average of like whatever it is, 150, 180. But the question is, how long does that take to happen? The question is, how long does that take to happen? Amid 84% of analysts underperformed the market index. I agree, but a lot of those analysts, they don't have the marketing machine, the propaganda machine that ARK has, which, by the way, if you're launching an ETF, you have to have that marketing machine. You have to have, the daily emails go out every day and everyone's tweeting about it and so excited. Like everyone needs, or if you're going to build billions of dollars in assets, you need that marketing. I mean, Bill Ackman, he's not like as much of a marketer as Cathie Wood, but he has built an incredible brand himself, right? So like every fund manager needs to market their assets. It's just, if you're underperforming that immensely, even though most analysts underperform, if you are underperforming and you've got this big marketing machine behind you, it just hypercharges the lack of underperformance. And that ends up, being tough. That ends up being tough for a lot of investors. Okay, so that's the Tesla update. We'll keep going from there and see what happens. I see someone special here in the chat. We got Kelly in the chat. For those that do not know, it is indeed Kelly's birthday. So happy birthday to Kelly. Everyone can wish her a happy birthday in the chat. I had this Twitter post up today just talking about how grateful I am for having Kelly in my life. I got to send her a little voice note this morning as well. I think my favorite paragraph from this tweet was, she always laughs at my jokes. So she'll say she doesn't, but then she'll laugh. She'll say it's corny and blah, 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 but it'll end up laughing. All I care about is the laugh. She gives me the laugh, mainly because I'm funny, not because she's laughing out of pity. Maybe she is laughing out of pity, but still, it's very similar to the relationship I have with you guys in the chat. I think you guys are laughing out of pity, but you're still laughing, which is all that matters. And here's a couple pictures of us. Kelly is just one of the most special people in my life. I mean, you guys know how much she means to me and how much she means to this entire community. So I'm super, super, super happy that she's turning 21 years old and she can finally drink now. So it's awesome. We don't have to worry about getting caught drinking together. This is like the best photo I think we ever had, when she wants you to pay attention to her, but you can't stop staring at Palantir crack through 21. This was in November when Palantir cracked through 21. Now it's like 21. It's like we don't even care. But in November, dude, when Palantir cracked through 21, that was very important. So shout out to Kelly. She has been on this entire journey with me on YouTube for a long time, dude. I mean, she slid into my DMs in March 2022. I have the receipts. I can prove it, right? So, I'm not lying there. And ever since then, it's been history. It's just, she's been the one person who has been watching this kind of, I guess, like, I don't even know how to call this thing that I've been on, but I guess journey is the best word. From starting Audia to eventually moving on from that to, just building this YouTube career to meeting Vlad, right? Like she's just been part of this entire journey. And I have the receipts. Yes, I have the receipts. It's just really special, dude. There's not a lot of times in your life that you have someone who really cares about you and that you also know you can depend on, if anything, like someone who just has your back, someone who's just there. They have your back. You can talk to them about anything. And you genuinely want them to be happy and they want to be happy for you. So really, really happy to have Kelly in my life. Thank you for being here. And yeah, happy birthday. 21 years old. 21. I'm a little bit older than you now at 27, but still 21 years old for Kelly. Raul says, Amit is funny and not being funny. See, this is just like, this type of comment. This type of comment is, this is the type of comment that like, this is just not a good comment. I mean, that's actually a hilarious comment, but it's not a good comment because I feel like most people in the chat would agree with that. Amit is funny and not being funny. Like you're laughing at how not funny I am, but like still you laugh. So you fucking laugh. That's all that matters. That's all that fucking matters. All right. Happy birthday to Kelly. Make sure you wish her a happy birthday on Twitter and make sure to follow her on Twitter. She just got this new Tesla as well. Let me show you guys that real quick. She just got this decked out Tesla. Speaking of Tesla, she at least contributed a little bit to Tesla fucking getting some deliveries this week. But this is what she got It's a gold chrome Tesla. So, I mean, not bad, dude. It's pretty cool Tesla. Pretty cool. All right, let's get into Tom Lee's perspective on the market yesterday. He was speaking last night. Let's see what he has to say. He spoke right after, right around 12 p.m. And we didn't get to watch it yesterday. So let's see what he has to say and how he thinks this market is going to end up turning out over the next few months. Here we go. Here's Tom Lee.
Sold, if you look at internal measures like the percentage of stocks over their 20-day moving average, it's down to 8%. Again, a turning point. And now we just need a positive catalyst. I think as long as inflation tracks better than expected, I think we're in a good position to rally.
You look at different things in Katie's stock, and obviously she said that there has been some damage. Therefore, she thinks there's maybe some more work. Not a whole lot more work, but maybe some more. Do you look at that? Has there been some damage, or do you see all positive indicators as far as maybe we're getting close to the end of the beginning of the end, end of the beginning?
Yeah, I think probability probably is what she's looking at, and I think there has been a lot of damage to the markets, but there are ways to look at why things could be turning. Mark Newton, our head of technical strategy, says the cycle turn date he was looking for is April 20th, and that's
420.
Yeah, 420.
Perfect.
And if you look at things like the DeMarc count, we're at almost a 7, so we're only 1 or 2 days from a potential bottom or turning point.
And we're oversold. We actually got oversold really quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, they say bull markets rise in an escalator, fall in an elevator. So it's what you'd expect in a rising trend is sharp corrections, and it shakes people out. And I think there's a lot of top callers, but to me, I think this is a good opportunity.
So that I thought was one of the most important things that Tom Lee said yesterday. Bull markets rise in an escalator, but like they go in a bull market, you go up with an escalator and you go down with an elevator. And I think that makes a lot of sense. In a bull market, when funds are coming in, when you have theses set on either the market or individual equities like NVIDIA, et cetera, the money's going to flow in and things are going to get wild. Now, when we take a breather, when we take a break, like NVIDIA losing $230 billion on Friday, as it has a 10% pullback, it's not going to be able to go down 30, 40% because everyone has their thesis. Everyone is set. Everyone understands the projections. The demand is there. The price targets are out there. As long as it's not 2021 where pictures of rocks are selling for like $5 million, right? Like as long as we're in a market where the froth is not as expensive, which by the way, companies like SoundHound and all this like nonsense that ended up going up 4 or 5x in like a month. I think it's good we had a little bit of a pullback because some of that can get wiped out of the system. But in a bull market, you're going to be coming down a lot slower than you are going up because people don't want to sell. Right? People don't want to change their thesis. And if the numbers aren't changing, like we know NVIDIA is going to crush earnings. Netflix crushed earnings. They just put out that dumb note about like not sharing subscriber numbers, but they crushed, right? There was nothing sort of substantial we're seeing in the economy where the big companies that need to be performing aren't performing. If Netflix couldn't add millions of subscribers, they added 4 or 5 million more than expected. That would be bad because it's like, what's happening? Why can't people around the world pay a couple of bucks a month in the context of like Indonesia and India versus like $10 a month in America for Netflix? That means consumers have a spending problem. If that's not happening and companies like that are showing they have those numbers, all the retailers have been doing good so far. The banks have been doing phenomenal so far, even with the loan losses from high interest rates. It means that we're still in a bull market. 70% of S&P 500 companies have performed, and they've performed pretty aggressively, right? They've beat their numbers. They've shown their numbers. Verizon, TFC, even though they went down a little bit yesterday, Verizon up a little bit right now in the pre-markets. It's more macro driven, the decline versus the actual numbers, which is a good thing because once the macro, shoots to the upside a little bit, we'll see some momentum. You can see this right here. NVIDIA 805 right now. It was at 7, I think it bottomed at 760-ish or something like that. 756 at bottom. And now we're here at 805. Because the market knows what's going on with NVIDIA. Robinhood got to $16.20. Right now it's at $17.24. Palantir got to $20.30. Now it's at $21.14. The market wants to buy that dip. They were just making sure that the dip was appropriate to buy. Spotify, let's talk about them real quick. Spotify is up 11% in the pre-market, $305. The really good thing about Spotify, and again, this is another really good thing for the broader market. You want to see companies like Spotify being able to perform and not underperforming, just to show that the overall consumer is healthy. This is actually, the biggest problem with Spotify is their operating income. They increased that this quarter. So right here, you can see premium subs are up 14% year over year. They have 239 million subscribers. Ad-supported MAUs are 388. They added another 13 million users. They have over 500 million people using their app every month. 615 million, which is 19% year over year growth. And the biggest thing here is their gross margin went up 121 basis points. And then look at their operating income. They lost 75 million last quarter. They made 168 million this quarter. So their operating margin went from -2% to 4.6%. Not amazing for a high growth tech company, but in the context of Spotify, that's good, right? Because so much of the record labels take their lunch that if they can squeeze out any profit, I think the street gets excited. So even a company like Spotify that has really crappy margins because of the way the music business is, and that already has, hundreds of millions of users, even they are finding out how to grow. Now, why does that matter to the average investor, even if you don't have Spotify? Spotify added 13 million more users. Spotify is not at the point where they can just add those users and snap their fingers, right? They have to do advertising. They have to do marketing, which means what? They have to pay Facebook. They have to pay Instagram. They have to pay YouTube. They have to pay the different ecosystem of marketing services that they use to get those users. Then those services get to create revenue from Spotify paying them to be able to get Spotify those users. What does Meta have to do to make sure that Spotify's money that it puts into the Instagram ads actually generate an ROI in terms of user acquisition? Meta has to make sure that targeting is so damn good that you want to just wonder, is Zuck in the Matrix, like controlling everybody? To do that, you need to get some H100s from NVIDIA to increase the targeted advertising capabilities. So all of this to me is intertwined. And if Spotify is not getting a lot of users, it means they're not spending a lot on marketing, or it means the marketing is not that effective, which impacts Meta. If that impacts Meta, that potentially impacts NVIDIA, because Meta is one of NVIDIA's biggest clients. So all of this to me comes together in a bull market that every company that's reporting earnings, unless the company egregiously misses, is contributing to that bull market. And as a result of that, I think we're in a fucking bull market. I think it is indeed happening. Now, having said that, I do think we're going to get another pullback because I don't want to be uber euphoric right now. We just got a nice % pullback last week. I definitely think we could get another pullback like that again. So I think that can happen. But regardless, that will be taking the elevator down versus the escalators up. Here's another good piece of data right now that makes me excited about this market. Oil is coming down, dude. Oil down 1% again today. It was down 1.2% yesterday. Again, coming down 1% right now. That's nice to see. Look at WTI crude. It's at 80.93, 93 cents away from going below $80. This is just good news. We want to see Iran, Israel calm down over the last couple of days. Iran said that Israel's got enough of a message or whatever. So they're not going to fight anymore, hopefully. The supply of inventory has been going up because Iran has been exporting 1.5 million barrels a day. The Biden administration is letting them export that many barrels a day. They're not sanctioning them. And the Biden administration is stopping Ukraine from bombing the Russian oil fields. So Russia's contributing to the global supply. And so oil's starting to loosen up. If oil loosens up and maybe we get a little bit of a loosen up on shelter, CPI potentially could have a way to come down. Maybe we get a rate cut actually by July. I don't think that's happening, but imagine that does happen. We could see a bit of a bull market continue to play itself out in an interesting way. And this would have been a really good dip. And then the crazy thing is, if you miss the dip, people get so scared, everybody, and not just retail investors, institutional managers, all these guys. And so they start buying at higher prices because if they miss the dip, they get upset, right? And so if NVIDIA shoots up to 1,000 after earnings, I think there will be a lot of people buying it at $1,000, even though that's probably a crazy price to pay, because they would have felt like they missed their dip at 700 and this train is leaving the town. And so we will see how this all plays out, but I do think it's not going to be as horrendous of a recession as people were calling on over the past couple of weeks. I think it was a reasonable pullback, a pullback that we needed, and we might get another one, but overall, not too bad. Matterport's up 175%. Yeah, let's go back into the equities and see what we've got going on. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Spotify's up 13%. Tesla is actually up 1%. Tesla getting a little bit of a bounce. People buying the dip. Matterport did get acquired yesterday. They are up right now at 472. So they're not at the target price of 550, but they are at 472 right now. The target price for acquisition was 550. Truist, 38.10. They had a good earnings, but they tanked yesterday in the morning. And then by the night, I guess as the market rebounded, people were looking at regional banks and which one is the best regional bank. It's Truist. And so Truist got eaten up. MicroStrategy down a little bit. We'll talk about Bitcoin in a second. Enphase at 110. QQQ is up. The Nasdaq's up. Super Micro is up 2%. It was up about 0.5% yesterday. Google 158. They're going to have earnings in a few days as well. Today, the big day is for Tesla. CleanSpark 1880. They went up 10% yesterday. Again, as Bitcoin rose to 67,000, the market got more excited for some of the Bitcoin miners. And then I think Coinbase is probably down right now, but it was up yesterday. Yeah, Coinbase down 0.75%, but it was up 7% yesterday. And then Palantir, we got it here at 21.14. And NVIDIA right here, 805 as well. So not bad on that. GM, yes, let's talk about GM. I was going to mention these guys as well. So GM had their earnings, and they did pretty good in terms of sales. So here are the results for GM, and then we'll look at the stock. I actually haven't looked at the stock. I don't know if the stock is doing well. Reported $2.62 versus $2.06 for EPS. So it's like a 54 cent beat. Not bad at all. And then revenue, 43 billion versus 40 billion. So they beat by 3 billion on revenue. That's also pretty damn incredible. They raised their full year 2024 EPS guidance to $9 to $10. Adjusted EBITDA 12.5 to 14.5 billion. And they raised their full cash flow for 2024 from 8.5 to 10.5 billion. Previously it was 8 billion to 10 billion. Overall, a pretty damn good quarter. And Q1 car sales typically are better, which is why those sales were good as well. Let's look at the stock. I actually haven't seen the stock this morning at all. But the stock, I would imagine, is up. I'm going to say it's up like 3%, 5.8%. Wow, look at that. 45.75 on GM. How much is GM up year to date? Let's see. GM is up year to date. Wow, 20%, dude. That is incredible. I did not expect that. So Tesla's down 40%. GM's up 20%. Now, look, in the short term, this is probably something that bears on Tesla get to get excited about. The long term, I don't think this story is going to play out the same way it's playing out in 2024, because we know what the inevitable cycle is going to be when it comes to Tesla, or when it comes to EVs and autonomy writ large. Unless EVs and autonomy just don't become a thing, which I think there's a good chance they will become a thing. But GM is up this year as Tesla is down 42% year to date. And again, what is the reason Tesla is down? It's not that much that Tesla's like a bad company compared to GM. It's that Tesla was $700-800 billion, right? So it's like and they were not putting up numbers to justify that $700-800 billion valuation. And so that's more so why Tesla came down versus like the company itself is struggling. I mean, like they're going to do $20 billion in revenue this quarter. They have $30 billion in cash. By the way, I think Elon, if they announce a buyback, it would be for $1 billion. They're probably not going to do that because they want to stuff that into R&D. Elon doesn't strike me as the guy that wants to make shareholders happy by financially engineering their earnings per share and buying back stock. Like, he just doesn't seem like that type of guy. You know how Tim Cook did it in 2013 when Carl Icahn went to that dinner with him and was like, hey, if you just buy back the stock, we're going to buy back your stock. Elon, if he had a dinner with an activist investor who said that, I don't think that would happen. So from that perspective, we're probably not going to get a buyback, but we are seeing the decline of Tesla, given the market cap was that high. I just think Elon's going to be subsidizing the market cap with the dreams of the robotaxi over time. And that's what he's going to have to prove today on the earnings call as well. Let's get another analyst update. What is going to happen with Elon and today's earnings, and then we will keep going from there.
To report its first quarter results later today, investors will hear from Elon Musk in the wake of company layoffs, price cuts, and the public attention to his pay package. Joining us right now for more on the company's governance as we head into that report is Gautam Mukunda. He is lecturer in the practice of management at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy. He's also the author of 2 books on leadership. And Gautam, why don't we start with who Elon Musk is and what he's accomplished to this point?
I mean, it's not a minor. It's not a minor story. If you created a character in a comic book and called about Elon Musk, even comic book writers might call it implausible. He reinvented automotive transportation, and in SpaceX, which might actually be his most impressive company, has cut the cost of putting something in orbit by a factor of 27, not 27%, a factor of 27. So that scale of achievement makes you understand why his board and why corporate governance have cut him a lot of slack over the last few years. But it might be time for that slack to end.
Why do you say that?
So if we step back for a second, let's say that you believe that Elon is a business genius. And, I'm not going to argue that you're wrong, given the scale of his track record. the thing about being a genius is that it's a retrospective title. You only have to do it once. You only have to be right once when everyone else in the world is wrong, and you get to sort of claim that for the rest of your life. And the thing is about even the greatest geniuses who've ever lived is they don't get to be right. They're not right all the time. Albert Einstein is the greatest physicist of the 20th century. He's the person we sort of always cite as the ultimate example of a genius. And Albert Einstein made no real significant contributions to physics after general relativity because he just could not accept where physics was going. He was still a genius. It just means that he wasn't right anymore. So in the case of Elon Musk,
Oh, go ahead. Finish your
sorry,
thought.
go. No, in the case of Elon Musk, right? Like the fact that he was right about electric cars, the fact that he was right about SpaceX, doesn't mean that he's going to be right now. It might mean that in fact the very tendencies that made him so gifted earlier make him really poorly suited to running a company of 150,000 people that's facing disruptive challenges completely unlike those he's mastered in the past.
You know, it's an interesting perspective. The guy is basically saying Elon's been great in the past, and once you've been great once, you're labeled as a great person, but that doesn't mean everything you're going to do in the future is going to be great. Now, I would disagree, and I said I would not bet against Elon, and I think he can pull it off, but it is an interesting perspective in the context of people who are great and attempt new things, and if that greatness can carry on into new versions of those things that they want to carry out.
Gautam, I hear your point. Just because you're a genius once, or in Elon Musk's case, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 times, doesn't make you right on everything. But if you're looking at that leader who founded a company or 2 companies or 3 companies versus a board of directors who's been along for the ride, I might pick sides with the founder more often than not. If I'm playing the odds of who's more likely to be right, if I'm playing the odds of, where I think I'm best off, that might be how I would go down with it too. Again, not that anybody's right on everything. Nobody's right on everything, but you can probably look and play odds with somebody you think is more likely to be right. And I think that's why so many of these founders and geniuses are given so much leeway. They saw things nobody else did. You can look at Mark Zuckerberg, who, everybody else on his board thought he was crazy for not selling for $1 billion when he got an offer that came in. I mean, there are reasons that they are where they are, and they may not be right all the time, but if they're sticking within their own businesses, not getting outside of their lanes, you might be playing the right odds by sticking with them.
So I think that's a very natural human tendency. And look, if I was on the board of Tesla, I would say, hey, Elon, I'm going to give you a lot of benefit of the doubt that you were right when other people were wrong because you've been it before. But that is, so I'd say that natural human tendency is actually a way to betray us. Like, to pick the same example, if physicists had done that for Einstein for 30 years, physics would have been delayed for 30 years as they just didn't pursue all the avenues that were right. So in Elon's case, it's not that he doesn't, it's not that he hasn't done this in the past. Let me set 2 sets of problems. One is Tesla now is very different from Tesla 10 years ago. And when you think about leadership selection, when you think about who the right leader for an organization is, what I often tell my students is that leadership is not a ranking problem, it is a matching problem. You're not looking through the question of who is the best person in the world in all circumstances. That's not how leadership works. What you're thinking is who is the right person for the particular set of circumstances that we're in today. The very fact that Elon Musk was, for the early years of Tesla, not just the right person amongst some set, but the most right person in the history of business, doesn't mean that he's the right person now when the situation.
Yeah, I think that's bullshit, dude. I think that's bullshit. I get they wanted a different perspective on CNBC today, but that's bullshit, dude. Elon, there is no one else on the planet you could imagine carrying out robo-taxis. If Elon leaves Tesla, I leave Tesla. I think most people in the chat leave Tesla. It's Elon or bust. And quite frankly, when you're talking about greatness, you got to bet on the jockey. Or you got to bet on the horse, not the jockey, right? You got to bet. No, the jockey. No, damn, I just fucked up that metaphor. You got to bet on the guy running the horse. In this case, the guy running the robo-taxi. Tuesday, April 23rd, 9:30 a.m. The stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. Here we go. Let's get into it and see what we've got going in the world of the stock market. So let's open it up. We got GM opening up 5.29%. They crushed on their earnings, increased EPS, revenue, deliveries, guidance, all that stuff. Very nice. Look at Palantir. $21.37. And one of the reasons they might be up, guys, is because I'm looking right now, breaking. Bloomberg has put out an article about Palantir titled Inside Palantir's AI Sales Secret Weapon Software Boot Camps. The company is averaging 5 boot camps a day this year to take advantage of the AI craze. We'll read the article. It just came across my screen right after we go through some of these equities. But that's big news. That means Bloomberg's basically advertising that Palantir knows what the fuck they're doing when it comes to sales, which is really different from 2 years ago when everyone said Palantir had no idea. Tesla up 1%, 143. Verizon up 1%. Spotify up about 13% at $310. Incredible on Spotify. Those operating margins increase. Spotify goes up 14%. Now, look, is it worth $61 billion? I don't really know. I don't know if I would pay $61 billion for it, but obviously the street is excited that they are finally becoming profitable and that they're going to likely be a billion user company within the next 5 to 6 years. S&P 500, 501, back above the 500s on the S&P, up 0.41%. Not bad. IWM getting a little bit of love, up 0.13% as well. NVIDIA, 811, up 2% on the day. NVIDIA's up now 7% from the lows, I believe, or like 6% from the lows of being down on Friday. So getting a little bit of a rebound. Robinhood, 1728, that's up 0.52% as well. 1730 right now. Robinhood got upgraded by KeyBank Capital Markets from $22 to $23 last night. So got a nice upgrade yesterday for Robinhood. Celsius up 1%. Bank of America up a little bit. JP Morgan, wow, JP Morgan recovering pretty much everything they lost on earnings day. JP Morgan lost a bit on earnings day. They're getting that. And they didn't deserve to fall. They had a little bit less net interest income. That was a stupid reason for the street to sell it off. So it's nice to see the banks recovering a little bit. Truist falling a little bit right now. Meta, 490, that's up. Snapchat's up. We'll talk about TikTok in a bit, but it does look like the Senate is passing the bill and Biden will ban TikTok. Now, TikTok doesn't get banned immediately. It has 9 to 12 months to be able to find a new suitor to be able to take over the company. And if they can't take over the company, then TikTok gets banned. I have a feeling that this ban thing is not going to go as well as we think. Like, I don't know who's going to acquire TikTok, how this is going to go out, how China's going to divest from it. So I'm very curious how this plays out. But TikTok will theoretically be banned on the Senate bill that Biden signs. Probably tonight by like 6 p.m. that bill should get signed. SMCI 730, QQQ 421, Enphase 111, Google 158, CleanSpark. Look at that, 1917. Not bad. Even though Bitcoin's down right now, CleanSpark is up $19.18. Alibaba 71.44, Marathon 17.84, ARM 96.43. They're up 3.4%. Uber's up 1.78%. They fell about 5% over the past couple of days. Netflix getting a little bit of momentum, up 1% after falling 15%, a little bit of love there. SoFi 730 up 0.62, HIMS up 1.47, TDOC now getting to TDOC's down like 95% from the highs right now, up 0.24% on the day. DJT, it was down yesterday, it's up today 1.24%. And then Micron is up a little bit here today, one of the semiconductor plays. Let's look at the Mag 7. Everything's up except Apple. Yes, Apple. So what's happening with Apple? The problem with Apple is we had a report this morning on Apple, and the report was that their iPhone sales are down 19% in China, which is the worst quarter since 2020. Apple smartphone shipments in China tumbled 19% in the first quarter. Reuters reported as the iPhone maker took a hit from Huawei's new product launching in the premium segment. So less people in China are buying the iPhone. Not necessarily best for Apple, and that's why Apple is down. Apple basically gave up the entire pump it got from the M4 announcement last week. It was at 175, now back to that 165 level. The skepticism on Apple remains high. It's just you don't know what they're going to do to prove growth. Vision Pro is not really a thing. Generative AI, whatever they come up with, no one knows about it yet. And then iPhone sales are stagnant. So, what do they do? Do they increase the dividend? Like, how does this company justify continuing to own the stock? Tesla now turning negative. Tesla 141.92. We'll see where it ends on the day. Again, it will be live 3:30 p.m. to cover Tesla earnings, and we'll see what happens. Tesla right now turning a little green, 142. I wonder if Tesla's at 140-ish or 142 right before earnings, and how bad the drop may be based on where it ends on the regular trading hours of today. Bitcoin, it was at 67 last night. We'll go over the inflows in a bit. Inflows are not amazing, but the inflows are picking up. $66,000 right now. Coinbase is up a little bit. CleanSpark is up. Robinhood's up. Bitfarms is up. MicroStrategy's down a little bit. It was up 12.5% yesterday. Nothing too crazy in the crypto world because Bitcoin is relatively flat over the past 24 hours. So nothing too crazy there. A fund in the US was created to buy TikTok. Yeah, I'm very curious again, who's going to buy it? Like Oracle actually gets a lot of money from TikTok. So they were going to senators saying, hey, if you ban this thing, like it's going to financially affect our business. Is Oracle down? Does the market care about that? Because Oracle's up. Oracle does get a decent amount of money from TikTok because they store they provide the infrastructure for the data centers in America. I believe in Texas is where they do it. So Oracle will get a little bit of a hit if TikTok gets banned. But again, I'm skeptical on TikTok actually being banned. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think it will be. It'll still stay in the States, and they have 9 months to figure it out. I am curious if Trump gets elected. Palantir up 2%. Does he reverse this decision? I don't think it's possible for him to like totally reverse this because Trump wants TikTok to not get banned. But we'll see. It would be kind of crazy, dude, if TikTok gets banned and then Trump comes in and he's like, no, we're going to unban it. We're going to like allow the CCP to continue having it. That would be pretty wild. Obviously, we would know there's some special interests on the side that are making that decision. But we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. I'm just skeptical on how exactly this thing ends up getting banned. Palantir right here, 2134. We'll read this Bloomberg article in a second because this was very interesting. When is PayPal earnings? Let's check on PayPal. PayPal is April 29th, I believe. I think it's same day as SoFi, actually, after hours. PayPal up 0.65% right now at $63.60 as well. Okay, not bad. Palantir 2131. Okay, let's go to this Palantir article. This is really exciting. Palantir got an article by Bloomberg this morning. This is why I pay for Bloomberg, so we can read this content. Here you go. Palantir's AI sales are proving that they have a secret weapon, which are boot camps. Palantir chief exec Alex Karp once said that the only way he'd hire salespeople was if he were hit by a bus. The company's software, which organizes and analyzes troves of data, was so good it would sell itself. Fast forward to the current AI frenzy, there's so much interest from potential customers that have not had a traditional sales force being a problem. We don't know what to do with the onslaught of demand, Karp says. Getting businesses to buy, install, and use a new generation of AI-fueled software, the corporate version of the products that government agencies use to pinpoint drone targets or locate landmines, requires a lot of legwork. But instead of capitulating and building up sales staff to recruit, onboard, and maintain relationships with customers, Palantir has adopted a novel approach: software boot camps. Not bad at all. At a boot camp this winter in Michigan, about 100 people gathered in a conference room in a sleek building just off the M1 course track. During a presentation, Konatsu Mining program manager Atticus Clark talked about the potential for AI to help a small business prioritize tasks. For example, sorting tasks by urgency instead of date, which he called was a game changer. Near the back of the room, Kevin Kowalski, Palantir's global head of business development, watched Clark speak. Kowalski nodded towards the stage. When people try our product, they wind up using it over there. We're not going to read the rest of the article, but it goes pretty in depth of talking about why this presentation or why AI bootcamp seem to be pretty exciting. Yeah, it's a pretty long article, dude. Pretty long article going in depth about the benefits of bootcamps. I actually think that's why the stock might be up 2%. When Bloomberg puts out an article, especially a positive article, you got a lot of people reading this thing and probably some people realizing, hey, maybe Palantir is the actual AI player that we should be more excited about. You know, the interesting thing about the boot camps and the thing that's exciting about boot camps is that Palantir should not be thriving when it comes to sales because they don't have a sales force and they don't know how to do sales. They don't have a sales culture. And it's so funny, dude. This is why it's so exciting being an investor in the company. 2 years ago, they said the product would sell itself. Look what they're doing 2 years later. The product is selling itself. Now, technically, they're doing these boot camps and they're quote unquote selling the product. But the way they're selling the product is via the product, right? They're not doing steak dinners. They are actually showing you the product in real time. 5 boot camps a day. That is the official number by Bloomberg. That means we can trust that number because Palantir probably confirmed to Bloomberg when they were working on this article. 5 boot camps a day Palantir is doing every single day when it comes in the month. So what? We've had 100 days this year so far, roundabout 500 boot camps. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible in the context of Palantir. So not bad at all. Not bad at all for what we're seeing about Palantir. Spotify, we're here up 14%. The street really likes these operating margins going up, and you can't blame them. Spotify's been unprofitable for so long, so that makes sense. Meta at 491. MicroStrategy down a little bit. And then Palantir getting, 2% bump here, 2141. Let's see going into earnings, dude, if we can get back into that $22 level. My projection for earnings is about 24 to 25 on good numbers, which I think can happen. I think that is very possible. The numbers actually do have to be good. But if we don't get those numbers, then we're probably going to stay flat here. I doubt we get to like 18, 19 unless the entire market takes a more nasty dip. So there you go. That's what we got in terms of Palantir. Again, we will have Tesla today after hours. Where is Tesla right now? This is going to be one of the most interesting earnings in the entire market. Tesla's red now, 141, trying to bounce a little bit off 141. Under 140, it couldn't stay there. It was at 138 yesterday, and it couldn't stay there throughout the entire day. And then it bounced, and we'll see if that bounce is going to be the same today. One piece of news we have right now breaking on Tesla. So yesterday, for those that missed it, Tesla did fire their entire advertising team. There were about 40 people on the growth advertising team. Tesla has fired all of those people and basically said, we don't want those people. Elon Musk himself tweeted yesterday, let me just pull up this tweet right here, that the ads are generic and boring. It's kind of funny to see the CEO of a company basically critique his entire marketing team. And he's like, look, the ads sucked. So like, why would I keep the why would I keep the team intact? I mean, it's actually hilarious. So right here, Elon says the ads were far too generic. It could have been any car, which I have seen some Facebook ads around Tesla before. He's right. The ads are pretty generic. This is the most exciting company in the world. So if you are on the advertising team and you can't come up with better than generic commercials, you probably don't deserve the job. I mean, this is like the best company in terms of just excitement on the planet. You gotta make it more fun. So Elon did cut the team. Today, we're getting another piece of breaking news right now that Tesla is also planning a voluntary redundancy program intended to reduce workforce in Germany by 400. That means in Germany, I don't know exactly what a voluntary redundancy program is. By context clues, I can imagine they're basically offering a generous severance package to people who want to leave. And they're kind of pushing people to leave if they don't think their job is worth anything anymore in Germany. So if that's the case in Germany, and we're seeing this in the EU, right? Tesla sales have been down for the lowest they've been in 16 months in the EU. So that's probably a reason why they're going to cut some, workforce members there in Germany. I can imagine if Elon is definitely pivoting to robotaxi, which I am at this point 95% sure that's how the company is pivoting, we're going to see more layoffs. Because, I mean, do you really need 150,000 people if the whole idea is to turn the entire company into a robotaxi network? At that point, volumes don't matter as much as the data advantage. You've already got 6 million vehicles on the road. If you increase that, not marginally, but by a decent amount every single year, which means you don't need to pump out 20 million cars like some of the Tesla bulls were saying by 2030 they would do. If each car is, $8,000, 95% margin, you kind of don't need that many cars as you needed before. So I would be curious to see if that is the route that Tesla goes when it comes to laying off people. But we're going to see if that ends up happening. Now, in the context of advertising, I do think that advertising is very difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. The one thing about advertising is that it takes some time to get it right. And I don't know if Elon has the patience as well to get the advertising to be as strong as he needed it to be. And maybe they weren't advertising the best, places. They were advertising on X, on Google, on YouTube. They never bought a Super Bowl ad. Maybe that would there's just all these different things I think they need to try, need to be patient with it. And it seems like Elon is not that patient when it comes to Tesla. Okay, so let me pull this here as well. Tesla options. There's $28,155 call options expiring this week. So you got 28,000 calls betting that Tesla could get here to that 155 level on April 26th. And then you've also got 11,000 put options at $130 when it comes to Tesla. So it is going to be volatile either way on the upside or the downside. I personally think it's going down to the downside. I hope it goes to the upside because then I can win the bet I have with Derek on not having to buy him a share if Tesla's green. But I do think this thing's going to be a little bit more icky. So the puts are definitely betting that Tesla goes down. And we're going to see how it plays out. The one way I think it shocks the upside, I think if he announces some, announcements on Optimus, which I don't think are probably going to happen, or he gets the street to understand robotaxi is something they fundamentally misunderstand, and that Kathy has it right over everybody else. If that's the case, then maybe that 155 call option does potentially get there. Rogue Trader says just doubled my $22.05 May 10th calls for Palantir. Not bad. Look, I hate short-term calls, and I get very scared of them. I only do leaps, but I do think if Palantir crushes earnings, 22.50 isn't crazy by May 10th, which is going to be 2 days after earnings. But let's see, right? They've got to increase customer count for those earnings to really perform nicely. Palantir 21.50. Yes, we're looking at Palantir right now, 21.50. Here you go. Tesla's down. PayPal's up a little bit. Palantir 21.65, up 3.2% on the day. Nice green candles on Palantir. I do think it's the Bloomberg article, dude. The macro is doing well today, but that Bloomberg article, it does have an impact on people that think of Palantir in a different way. And a lot of more conservative investors that care more about sales versus the technology, if they think Palantir has sales in the bag, which all of us know they do, and they have it in the bag way better than a Snowflake, that might be enough for a lot of investors to get on board with Palantir. Where is Snowflake? Snowflake's at 150. So Snowflake is still down about 30% from their earnings. Now it's at 149. Whereas Palantir, it's down from like the 27 levels, but it's up from the $16 on February 5th, where it was right before earnings. 2170 right now. Here we go for Palantir. Not bad at all. SoFi 1740. Oh wow. So SoFi 740. And wow, we got a nice bump. And Robinhood is 1745. Not bad. Not bad at all. I did buy some more SoFi options yesterday. So now I'm holding on to 215 debit spreads on SoFi. The goal is to sell if they have a good earnings, and if we can get to like $9 on earnings from SoFi, or to keep them if SoFi ends up performing better. The only way I think I keep them is if SoFi really, really, really shows that their B2B side is making progress. If they're not making progress, then maybe that's when we sell them. But about 5 of those yesterday as well. Palantir 2171, not bad. Netflix is up 2%. Okay, is the market just running today? PayPal's up almost 2%. Palantir's up 4%. Oracle's up a little bit. GM's up 5%. Spotify's up 14%. S&P 502. Look at that. S&P is trying to get a 1% day. Nvidia's up 2.17. Netflix should be up. It's getting a little bit of a rebound here, up 2%. And then SoFi finally getting some momentum as well going into earnings. Even Tesla up almost 1% on the day. Tesla's getting some momentum. Palantir 2172. Not bad. Shopify's up 3%. Okay, good. So the cash secured puts I made TJ buy, those are out of the money. This is good. Wow, look at, we have $65 strikes on those. So we got about 20 days, or not 20 days, like 15 days left till those expire, hopefully out of the money, and we get to keep our premium. Not bad on Shopify. Okay, let's pull up this clip. We have Lee Cooperman on CNBC today. Lee Cooperman, for those that don't know, is a billionaire investor, and I guess he's going to give us a little bit more of the bearish sentiment around what's going on in the broader economy. Here's what he has to say about the potential financial crisis we're facing in the United States, and then we'll keep going from there. We'll also go through some shareholder questions on Tesla, the ones that got voted for by retail. So we'll go through those. They represent like 20 million shares, and we'll talk about those in a bit.
Give us your outlook, near term and intermediate term on this market, which is down in the last couple of weeks. Is this finally a reckoning with that, or something else?
Well, I think there's a lot of things going on in the world. We have an election coming up in November. You have 2 candidates that are generally viewed as, one is bad, the other one is worse. We don't want to see these guys run, but I'm hoping that they drop out, and that's a hope rather than a forecast. And I would say that the debt situation, you're right. I'm concerned. I think we have a system of leadership in this country that has evolved to a leadership at a crisis. On your program a number of months ago, you had Mitt Romney and a fellow from Virginia, Manchin. And they basically endorsed Simpson Bowles, which was, I think, about 8 or 9 years ago. The only problem is nothing very large at a time when the economy is reasonably fully employed.
You give the Fed what kind of grades, Lee? And I know you're.
I give the Fed a low grade. I think what I would say is they held interest rates at near zero for 10 years, and at the time, Powell said to the public, the stock market is not expensive given where interest rates are. They never bought a ton of people. Interest rate didn't belong to zero. Then, very abruptly, in a matter of 12 months, he raised interest rates 500 basis points. They stabilized the system. Now,
okay, so Lee Cooperman's just going on about how the Fed, whenever these guys complain about the Fed, I always think it's so weird, dude. Like I would wonder how they would act if they were the Fed chair. I just don't think we can be that mad at the Fed. Yes, the Fed is not perfect. I get it. And yes, the inflation was transitory. They messed up on that. But I don't think you can be that mad about the Fed. His basic argument here is that the Fed messed up. They destabilized the economy by raising interest rates too fast because they missed inflation, yada, yada, yada. We get it. At the end of the day, the Fed has done a pretty damn good job bringing inflation down, which I think is the most important thing. Here we go. SoFi, 747 right now. It's up 3%. Nice little breakout on SoFi. Palantir, 2176. Let's see if we can go for 22. Spotify up 12%. Robinhood, 1739, up 1.16%. And then Snowflake here at 149.99 right now. Shout out to Adam in the super chat. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Amit, you just got a shout out on Robinhood Q&A for Palantir. Everyone go vote up. I did. Really? Adam probably asked that question. They always do the Say Technologies questions where people can vote on that. And I'm going to bring up the Tesla ones right now, and we'll take a look at those, and we'll go from there. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out and what these end up looking like. By the way, is Twitter bad for you guys? Because for some reason, Twitter's not loading for me. I was going to go pull up the photo of someone who tweeted. Yeah, I think Twitter's down, guys. I think Twitter's down. Wow, Twitter's down. Let me know if it's down for you guys. I was going to go pull up the photo of someone who posted the pictures of the Tesla shareholder questions. It looks like this thing is down. Twitter's broken. Okay, so it's not just me. Twitter is broken. Wow, Elon's like, you know what? Fuck this. If I'm losing market cap in one company with Tesla, I'm losing market cap in every company with Twitter too. He's like, we're going to screw up everything today. That's hilarious. Yeah, maybe it's coming back in a second. Robin at 1740, Tesla here 143. Tesla having a nice bounce. Let me see if I can pull up the Tesla, because those are really good shareholder questions. Yeah, everything, it's broken for me. Twitter's broken for me. Tesla shareholder questions, Say Technologies. I think I should be able to find the exact website. Oh, I think I got it. Did I get it? Yeah, I got it. Okay, cool. I got the actual website. Here we go. Adam, you want the link, bro? Adam, I've been saying get on the live for years. Adam's acting like I don't send him the link. Here, Adam, I'm putting the link in the chat, dude. Join right now. We'll do this Tesla segment, and then we'll preview Tesla earnings. We'll talk about Palantir. We'll talk about options, Bitcoin, everything. Well, yeah, come on the show, dude. We had Krish on the show for an hour on Friday. So please come on. Everyone tell Adam to come on right now on the show. Okay, so here are the questions here for Tesla. So these are the ones that got voted on, okay? These are the main retail questions these are the most shares that are represented, and these are the ones that are probably going to be answered today. So 4.4 million retail shares represent this question. What is the current state of Optimus? Are they currently performing any factory tasks? When do you expect mass production to start? I think that's an interesting question. I don't think it's a question that's going to move the needle in terms of the street. I don't think Elon's going to say anything that exciting when it comes to Tesla, or when it comes to the Tesla Optimus bot, primarily because either they're keeping it under wraps because they definitely don't want to reveal secrets and they haven't showed any new videos, or they legit don't have any progress. And if they legit don't have any progress, then that's not going to be a good thing. Let me show you guys this real quick before we get into more questions. So look at this. Do you guys remember this? So Karan Buttigieg, okay, this guy, one of the execs, he said, just to comment on the barrier, I think the barrier, and we've talked about this, is getting it to actually do something useful. He's talking about the Optimus. This was in Q4 2023. We can get it to walk around. We can get it to do things, but it's that utility part. And then Elon says we can already do some useful things. I think Elon wanted to smack the shit out of Karan Buttigieg. I really think he wanted to, because he was like, what the heck are you talking about, dude? How can you possibly say that the thing does not do anything useful? And then Karan says, but to making millions of things, it's like utility. Got to get the utility of it. So basically, one of your senior execs is saying the bot is not useful. It cannot do anything. I mean, literally, it's saying it can walk, but it can't do anything useful. And then Elon's trying to save the company right here and says, hold on, wait a second. It can do useful things. Don't say it's totally not useful. And look, if I'm the CEO, I would just look at him dude, what are you saying? Just say yeah, we're working on it. Don't say it can't do anything useful. You're literally saying it can't do anything useful. I don't know in the past 90 days if they've made significant progress on that, core thing. And so if they haven't made significant progress on that core thing, I think the optimist question is not going to go well. Here's another question, 4.2 million shares. What is the status of 4680? These are the batteries. What is the current output? I think that's a good question. 3.5 million shares says, what is Tesla's current assessment on the pathway towards regulatory approval for unsupervised FSD, and how should we think about their appropriate safety thresholds compared to human drivers? I think that's a very good question. And I think Elon's going to have to give some, detailed guidance on the regulatory approval for unsupervised FSD. I don't know if they have an answer to that, quite frankly, but I think that's really important. Another 3.4 million shares. Have any of the legacy automakers contacted Tesla about possibly licensing FSD? The answer is probably yes. But if FSD is not good enough yet, then it doesn't matter, right? It's not going to be able to create a revenue stream that can materially compound anytime soon. So all of it hinges on FSD. Here's a big question. 3.4 million Tesla shares represented. Can we get an official announcement and timeline for the $25,000 vehicle? I think analysts will be asking that question as well outside of retail. And this is going to be the question, dude. I'm going to be staring at the stock when this happens. Palantir 2190 right now, because if this answer doesn't go the best way, I think we might see the stock hit to the downside. Last question here, 3.3 million shares. Following Tesla's robotaxi unveil on 8/8, what is the realistic timeline for launching a revenue-generating robotaxi network? I think Elon's going to have to really be creative there in terms of how he answers that question. Because if he doesn't answer that question right, maybe Tesla shareholders just lose a lot of patience with him. And if he answers that question well, maybe Tesla bounces. Maybe it's like, actually, it's coming soon. And maybe the street believes that it is indeed coming soon. We got Tesla right here at 1.83%. Tesla bouncing at that 144 level, continuing to gain momentum. The street seems to be buying it up before earnings. Robinhood 1748. Let's go, up 1.57%. SoFi up 3%, 748. Shopify 73. PayPal 64.17 and Palantir here 21.81. We're seeing a broader rally in the market. Nvidia 1.83%. Is crypto up? Oh, Bitcoin's up. That's why we're seeing some momentum as well. Bitcoin's up. Bitcoin is indeed up. Not bad. Not bad. Cameron says, are the layoffs in Tesla due to bots being used in the gigafactories? If he announces that, I think Tesla is going to like 170, dude. If he announces that, yeah, the reason we laid off 14,000 people is because we have 2,000 bots that are equivalent to 14,000 people. Now, he's not going to say that. If he does say that, this thing is, because now it's just like, the reason they're cutting costs is because they're making so much progress on the one thing that I think is the most bullish aspect of Tesla, which is the humanoid robot. That's probably not going to happen, but if it does happen, it would be insane. S&P 503, look at that. Dude, we bottomed at 492 on the S&P. We're back at the 500s. It seems like the market wants to continue going. It's 10 years crashing. Oh my God. Oh, this is amazing. 10 years crashing. Let's go. The 10 years finally below 4.6 after like 2 weeks. Look at that. 4.84. The 10-year here was at 4.9 in October. Okay. We are at 4.5. We're not that much lower than we were in November. By January, we got to 3.7, which is when we started the bull run. And it seems like the market's normalizing us being at this 4.5% level. Even though equities are doing a lot better. Why is the 10-year going down? Potentially because the market's getting excited that PCE on Friday is going to come in lower than expected, and oil continuing to be down every single day. That's also getting the market very excited as well. And so that's what we got right now in the context of the market. Not bad. Not bad at all. Adam says robotaxi is 10 years away minimum. I don't know if it's 10 years away, dude. I do think it's like not 2025. And I think for Elon to not get the stock to crash, he has to convince people that it's 2025 or at least 2026. And I don't know if it's going to be happening, relatively soon, dude. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to get this thing rolling. What are Optimus preferred pronouns? Could you imagine, dude? That's how you know the AI is getting too advanced. If it actually says like consciously, "Hey, I need pronouns," that means this thing is gonna get funny. This thing's gonna get funny. Tesla right here. Now, look, this might be a little bit of a bounce before the pain. Investors might be buying it just because the market's going up, so the algorithms are trading it to the upside. I don't think the fundamentals of the reasons why this earnings are going to go bad, which are all the numbers they're expecting. 50 cents EPS, that's down 30%. Revenue, 20 billion, that's down 15% from 25 billion last quarter. Like, we're all expecting pretty bad numbers. We know this. So the reason it's pumping right now, I think, is broadly macro driven, not like, oh my God, someone found out the numbers are actually going to be good or that Elon's going to announce some amazing announcement. It might just be people, retail, just buying it up to buy it up, right? Like, just like, all right, I'm betting on Elon. We're going to buy it up before earnings. Maybe Kathy's making some buys right now. But if I had to bet, I still think that the earnings are not going to go good and that this thing is going to take a bit of a hit. And so we'll see. Patrick says if Hood can break through this resistance, next price target will be 18.15. I think after earnings, Robinhood is 22. I think the earnings are going to crush, dude. I think I was looking at some numbers yesterday. Some people were telling me about their App Store rankings in March. We didn't get the March numbers. For those that are asking about the March numbers, we don't get it because if they gave us the March numbers, that would literally be giving us the earnings, right? So they only do the first 2 months. But I think the March numbers were really good. The trading volumes are going to be ridiculous. The crypto volumes are going to be amazing. And then the gold subscription numbers are going to be insane. So you got to remember, Robinhood is $5 billion in cash. So whenever you look at the market cap, you got to remember you're buying $5 billion. So the enterprise value, 15 minus 5, is $10 billion for a company doing $2 billion in revenue, growing 37% year over year, and likely going to increase that growth given all the announcements they made in terms of the gold products. So I think it's going to go good, dude, especially if the macro eases up by May 6th. I think it's going to go really good, and it's going to be nice. Now, I'm going to be covering it in DC. So I'm going I think you guys might know Palantir's having this like AI conference thing. It's not their conference. It's at like some DC conference thing. And I'm going to be there with Arnie. So me and Arnie are going to be there. And we're going to get to like see some of the demos of some of the new products that are coming out there. So I'm going to be in DC covering these earnings on May 8th. And me and Arnie together are going to cover Palantir earnings at our Airbnb in DC on May 6th. Palantir 2192 right now. So hopefully that week can be a really good week. We got Palantir earnings and Robinhood earnings in the same week. And let's see if this thing's actually, does what it needs to do. Claudina says Poet is up 11%. Yo, this Poet stock, I think everyone's been talking about it because what's his name? Alex from ticker symbol U. Did he make a video on this? I think he made a video on this, right? This Poet stock, because I've been getting so many comments about this thing. And I'm like, I consider myself to be the modern day Shakespeare, but I don't know if like Poet is the stock I want to bet on, right? I don't know much about it. He made a video, right? He made a video about it. This is interesting, dude. He made a video on a penny stock. Dude, did his video pump this stock, dude? What is Poet up? What is Poet up this week? Did he pump this fucking stock? It's up 26% in 5 days, dude. Alex pumped the stock. Dude, there's no way this stock would be up 26% without that video. There's no way. I didn't see the video. I think I saw like 30 seconds of it. And I saw he mentioned the Poet stock. This has got to be the pump, dude. This has got to be Alex. This is hilarious, dude. Okay, well, what the hell does this thing do? What does this do? Poet. The fuck is Poet? Goodness, what does it do? Does it like put out playwrights or something? What does this do? So let's look this up. Poet Technologies. Also, Adam, dude, if you're in the chat, I think you said you were coming on. Let me just text Adam to make sure he's coming on. And then we'll stay on and wait for him. Okay, so let's look at Poet. Poet Technologies. What is this thing? Poet Technologies. It has to be something in the semiconductor space, I would imagine. Poet Technologies. Let's pull up their website. They make our vision for the companies to become the global leader in chip scale. I knew it. Photonic solutions by deploying our optical interposer technology to enable the seamless integration of electronics and photonics for a broad range of vertical market applications. All right, I don't know what the fuck that means, but it's something in the semiconductor space. Now, the question is, it's a penny stock, dude. At the end of the day, it's a penny stock, and you always got to be very careful. I know it's $1.30 and it looks super exciting. Oh my God, I can get like 1,000 shares for $1,000, but still, I'll do a deep dive into this. I haven't looked at this. It's up this week. It deserves a little bit of a deep dive, but it is a penny stock. No matter how exciting it may look, I think you always have to be careful when you're looking at a penny stock. Palantir, where's Palantir? Robin at 17.50, Palantir 21.89, Poet $1.38. I'm also going to pull up their financials real quick right here and see what I wonder if the company is profitable, because if they're profitable, that changes the game. So here we go. Yeah, they're definitely not profitable. I thought so. Okay, so this is what Poet looks like. So here we go. Net income, they lost $20 million last quarter. Cash flow, not good. Cash in debt, that's okay. They don't have any debt, that's good. Cash, they have $3 million. They have 40 million shares outstanding, and it's a $67 million market cap. They've been around since 2006. Wow. This is very weird, dude. 2006, they made $1 million in revenue. 2023, they did $470,000 in revenue. This is definitely a weird company, dude. This is not a screaming buy by any sense of the imagination. Now, granted, that's why the stock is probably so low. The market cap is $70 million, 40 million shares. That's probably where the opportunity lies. But this is one we're going to have to look at a bit more. If it's in the semiconductor space and demand for GPUs and chips obviously is going higher, then maybe there's a crucial component thing here. Maybe it's like a kind of mini SMCI, just in terms of how it was SMCI. No one cared about SMCI, and then SMCI blew up. But we're going to have to look at this. The growth rate for the revenue is like horrible too. Like they're not even growing. I mean, or they're growing. They're growing, but it's not enough to get people super excited. All right, we'll look at this one. We'll look at Poet, and we'll see what Poet says. There's an Indian guy at the helm. All right, so that's he probably drives a Tesla if that's the case. We all know that it could pump it if there's a mini Sundar or Satya working on it. IPO'd in 2022. Send the link one more time. All right, Adam, here's the link. We'll have Adam come on. Yeah, again, ticker symbol, you might be excited about it, but please do your own research before you buy it just because he's excited. Because at the end of the day, I'm actually surprised he mentioned it in a video. How many views did his video get? He probably got a ton of views, dude. I'm surprised he mentioned that in a video because, I mean, he gets a decent amount of views. Yeah, the video got 83,000 views. It's interesting, dude. Putting a penny stock in a video. I love Alex, but putting a penny stock in a video is risky. It's a bit, if this thing goes south, like he's gonna get a lot of blame for that. I'm just saying. So it's a bit risky. Adam, I see you're connected, but it says device is not connected. So you're backstage, but it says device is not connected. So you might have to join again, Adam. Yeah, you might have to join it again, dude. It seems like you're not connected here. What else we got? What else do we have? All right, so Poet, I'll take a deeper look into it and we'll keep going from there. We'll see what happens with Poet. But yeah, it is a penny stock. I would be a little just cautious of that one. Palantir 2188, Robinhood 1764, Shopify 73, Netflix 563, SoFi 752, Tesla, wow, 2% up. Maybe the street thinks earnings is going to go good, dude. Maybe the street thinks earnings is going to go good. Twitter's back. Okay, good. So Twitter's back. That's good. Twitter's getting back online. Coinbase 232. Where's Bitcoin? Is Bitcoin pumping to 60, 67 right now? 66.7. Yep, there you go. Nice green candle on Bitcoin. That's what's helping as well. HIMS is up 4%. DJT, Trump. Oh, by the way, Trump's getting another $1 billion in stock based on this like special grant he was given the other day. It's I don't even know exactly why, but he's getting $1 billion, $1.25 billion worth of Trump media stock in earnout bonus. So Trump is poised to receive 36 million additional shares. I think it's because it closed at a certain level. Yeah. It's closed. So he had to have the stock at 1750 to get another 1.2 billion. The stock closed at 35.50. So he got another, how many shares? 36 million shares. He can't sell any of this, but in 6 months, right before the election, he can sell. And it would be interesting to see if he actually dumps all these shares on the base. Because if he does, dude, he's going to cash out $2 to $3 billion. Again, it's just funny because the company, like we know Truth Social is a joke, dude. It's like an absolute joke, but it's he's pulling it off, dude. Trump fucking figures it out. $4.8 billion market cap. Trump now, I think, has like a 70% stake with the bonus he got. And so there you go. There you go with Trump. Okay, there you go. Trump right here at 35.20 right now. Intel is barely moving with the market. Intel at 34.48. Again, Intel investors are just not excited for Intel's prospects. But I do think Intel is some deep value right now. I'm just a little scared of their foundry business. Their earnings, I would not buy before earnings because if their earnings has bad guidance, then that thing's going to fall down to below 30. And then I would get super excited for Intel because it doesn't deserve to be that low, in my opinion. But we'll wait until their earnings as well. Where's Palantir? All right, Palantir's trying to make a run. I will buy one share if we get close. I'll do the one share again for Palantir if we get close to 22. Let's see if my one share can do a little bit of work here. I've got it loaded up. Buy. If we get close to 21 like 95 or something, I will buy a share. I've got it loaded up. I will swipe up if we get up there. Let's see. Okay, what else do we have? 2189 on Palantir. Robin at 1762. Shopify. Netflix 564. Vitaly in the chat says Qualcomm is a bet of mine. It's a better bet. They have new ARM processors coming for Windows. Qualcomm is an amazing company, dude. I think Qualcomm is one of those that definitely gets underlooked. It's had a good year though, right? Qualcomm, Bitcoin 66,000 right now, 66,700. Qualcomm QCOM 160. Where are they up year to date? QCOM stock year to date. Yeah, they're up 15%. So they haven't had as great of a year as the other guys, but they've had a good day as well. Let me show you guys a couple things as well, some headlines, and then we'll get back into equity. So I thought this chart was really interesting today, right here. America is importing less from China. So we've talked about this a lot on the show, but Mexico is gaining the lead. The blue line is Mexico, the red line is China, and this definitely matters given the sort of tit for tat we're having with China, with TikTok and them trying to ban some of the Apple apps that came out yesterday, or telling Apple to take off different apps from the App Store. We exported over the past, or all throughout 2023 going into 2024, $40 billion from Mexico, whereas China's $32 billion. So there's an $8 billion delta in terms of how much we are exporting when it comes to Mexico versus China. Now, why does that matter? Number one, from a just a pure political perspective, it's really good for us to be not as reliant on China as we have been in the past. Now, look, we're still deeply reliant on China, but the fact that we're exporting way more from Mexico versus China, I think is a good thing. Number two, I think that presents an opportunity, and I don't have the names of those opportunities, but to potentially invest in or get exposure to companies in Mexico, because they are on a growth curve in terms of exports throughout the world. And if they're exporting with America, I'm sure that's going to be a precedent for them to be able to export to other countries. Versus China, if you bet on like the Foxcons of the world, those companies are very mature, and there's probably not a lot of alpha there. So it's one thing to look into. The two things I think we all need to look into: Sam Altman did invest $20 million, his first seed investment in a few years, in an energy infrastructure company for data centers yesterday that's headquartered in Miami. Energy infrastructure to power AI, along with Mexico, are seeming to be two emerging opportunities over the next decade that are things I think we want to at least look into, because maybe the street is not looking at them that deeply, but there's definitely an opportunity there given those are growing pretty well. We've got Bitcoin right here, 66,800, trying to make its way back to 67,000. And we'll see how that plays out throughout the rest of the day. All right, folks, I've got a guest with me on the show. He's joining as Tesla gets to 145, SoFi 749, S&P 503. We've got Robinhood here at 1767 and Palantir at $22. Adam, you're joining right when Palantir gets to 22. What's up, man? Thank you for being here.
How you doing, man? It took me a while to set up my audio. Everything's okay?
Everything's okay. What's up, brother? Happy to have you back on the show. It's been like couple months. No, it's since PayPal earnings was the last time we were on the show.
Yeah, PayPal earnings. But I've been, following the show every single day, showing as much support as possible. I think you have such an amazing show. And it's absolutely crazy, right? Just to shine some light. Meet Kevin gets like 20,000 viewers in the morning, 22, 23. But he has nearly 2 million subscribers. You got 30,000 subscribers and you're getting like 1,000 views every day. How amazing is that? How do you feel with your rise, man? How do you feel breaking into YouTube and becoming a, future star of YouTube, actually?
I try not to think about it too much, because you and me both know this game is ruthless, and like if you take a couple of days off, if you're not on your game every morning, it can all go away. Like, media is just very tough, but it's fun. It's been exciting, and I think it's just because I care about the craft. I want to be good every morning, and I'm not saying I'm the biggest like stock expert out there in the world, but I love the art of communicating this stuff, which is why it's fun, right? You get to wake up every morning, talk to people, get them to hear your thoughts and opinions, and I get to meet people like you that are so damn smart. And we're going to talk about some of the plays you've made over the past few months. So for those that don't know, I met Adam in New York the other day. Literally right after the Vlad interview. Adam was one of two people. Adam and Kelly knew that I was doing that interview. And I texted him. I was like, yo, I'm interviewing Vlad. He's like, what the fuck? Let's get dinner after. And so I did the interview with Vlad. We get dinner. Adam takes me out to the most bougie restaurant in New York. We're on this fucking 5-star hotel. There's all these rich people. We're eating with billionaires. And we're talking about the markets and what's going on. So I'm really thankful to you too, because I get to meet people like you. So let's start off with this, Adam. How has 2024 been for you? What are some of the plays you're making? And where do you see the end of the year kind of turning up for your portfolio?
24 has been really good. Probably the best year of investing for me personally. You're laughing because you actually saw the accounts.
So me and Adam exchanged Robinhoods. I gave him my Robinhood. He gave me his. And let's just say, dude, I've seen some big numbers. I have not seen those types of big numbers on a Robinhood account in gains. Really big numbers. Adam made some really good plays earlier in the year, and they worked out. And it's really cool.
Yeah. So I went really heavy into Bitcoin, guys, but Bitcoin proxies. And I was talking about MicroStrategy before it was cool, before it went up. Everyone at the thousands like, oh, MicroStrategy, you know. But I was doing MicroStrategy as it was dropping to 400s and buying options, even recently options. And it seems to be working out. And
so hold on. So let's stick on this for a second. What was your mentality when this thing, so it got to 700, it got to 700 in February 12th, and then it dipped a bit lower, or sorry, January is when it got to 700. And then right here from January 1st to January 16th, it went from 700 to 482 and then started coming back up. And now it's obviously broken out. You were buying around this January time, I imagine.
So the craziest thing I'm going to tell you guys is you guys don't have to believe me. Ahmed saw it from January 1st around those dates. I don't quote me on the exact dates, but basically every market day, right? Because the weekends there's no market, maybe a holiday, but every day that there was a market, I was buying an option for MicroStrategy every single day of that drop, because I knew that this thing was going to come back. There was so much fear that the ETFs are here, and because the ETFs are here, nobody's going to be buying MicroStrategy.
So what was your thesis? Besides just Bitcoin, why MicroStrategy over CleanSpark or all the other guys that are out there?
Sure. I hold CleanSpark as well. It's the only miner that I hold. I have a decent, here, I'll move to make it easier to see.
Yeah, we got to get them closer. We got to let them feel us. Got the
Bitcoin,
Russian and Indian just going. There we go. Oh, then I like that hoodie. There we go. We're going to have you on the moon. I'm going to get a picture of you on the moon after this whole cycle plays out. Get a hoodie on that.
So there was a point when it hit 400 that MicroStrategy was actually selling at a discount to how much Bitcoin that they hold. And a lot of people don't understand what's happening with MicroStrategy and the way that they have their debt, but they're essentially borrowing money for free. They're borrowing money at less than 1%. And people think that the whole premium of MicroStrategy is that they hold Bitcoin and they're a proxy for Bitcoin and they make some money in their AI business.
Right.
What they don't understand is that they're going to be evolving right now, and Michael Saylor is probably going to be doing a lot of things in the Bitcoin community. Maybe he's going to be a Bitcoin bank. Maybe he's going to start giving people loans on their Bitcoin. He did shift towards saying we're going to be a Bitcoin development company. Maybe he's going to make a wallet. Maybe he's going to make, some apps. At the end of the day, MicroStrategy is an artificial intelligence play. It is a software play. He just knew he couldn't compete with Microsoft, Palantirs, things like that at that time. So he says, well, I was a small company worth $1 billion. We had, I think at the time it was worth $1 billion, and they had $500,000 in cash.
Right.
I'm sorry, 500 million in cash.
Correct.
And he says we could have either gave it back to our shareholders or, do something with it. So he bought Bitcoin. He took a risk. And he's the longest standing CEO from the dot-com bubble, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of innovation. So when it was trading at discount, it was so simple to buy because last Bitcoin has started trading 6x underlying value. At the highest, we just had like 2.5. So we were actually still discounted compared to our previous. But what I said is, as long as Bitcoin goes up, this is going to go up. But the main thesis that people are not getting is the short interest. The short interest is it's like 30% or something. It's
correct.
Absolutely insane.
Correct.
Like 3 million of 15 million shares is short interest. So as long as Bitcoin goes up and MicroStrategy is going to follow, even if it follows not 1-to-1, even if it follows 80% to 1. The shorts are going to get burned. And when the shorts get burned, they have to cover. And when they cover, that's when you get the moonshots of MicroStrategy. And this is what's about to happen when Bitcoin's about to go to 100,000, which I firmly believe it's going to happen before the end of this year, a lot sooner than everybody thinks. The shorts are going to have to cover. And when the shorts cover, MicroStrategy is going to go, it's going to go absolutely insane. And that was my thesis and my play, and so far it's working out. And when nobody wanted to buy it because of the ETFs, nobody was thinking, because a lot of people don't have access to those ETFs, right? And people thought that people are just going to sell MicroStrategy.
Now
and it works out.
Let's talk about this. So you are obviously sitting on some substantial gains. I am sitting on some gains as well, not as substantial as yours, but we do have some gains. And I'm sure people in the chat, I think this is a good discussion, because a lot of people in the chat are sitting on some good gains because it's been really good. Your gains are just exaggerated because you got leveraged on a really volatile asset and it went to the upside. You haven't really taken a ton of profits, like I'm sure a lot of people in the chat, like myself as well. How do you deal with the emotions? Because MicroStrategy just fell 20% last week. Now it's back to normal. Obviously, it's been a proxy to Bitcoin. I mean, like, you're seeing a lot of money go up and down every day. What are your emotions when you're dealing with it? Some days you just not look at the portfolio. And what advice do you have to people in the chat that are also struggling with this problem?
I became immune to it. I became numb. The first few times you have massive gains, and everybody's massive gains is going to be different. I had massive gains before. I made really good on Palantir. I made really good on Moderna. By the way, I still have a lot of Palantir shares, guys, and I'm planning to invest from MicroStrategy into Palantir after this and hold a lot more shares, which we'll reveal on Amit's show in the future. But
Palantir above 22 as well, guys.
Let's go. You got to get immune to it. And the same thing when you're selling covered calls and cash secured puts, which I was showing Amit as well. Shout out to TJ. He does it very, very well. You got to get immune to it, and you have to have a thesis. It's the same thing as Palantir. When Palantir was at $6 and everybody was shitting at us, look at it now. Look how many YouTubers now are shouting out Palantir, or at least giving Palantir credit. And you have to have a thesis, and if you're right, you're right, and if you're wrong, you're wrong. I was lucky enough to call a couple of really, really good plays in stocks. Sometimes I'm wrong, obviously, but I was able to call some good plays. So I'm kind of getting used to it. You got to get hardened with it and believe in your play. Don't chew, more than you can swallow. Don't do margin, and you'll be all right.
Okay, so in the context of Bitcoin, I want to get your thoughts on a bunch of different assets, but let's talk about Bitcoin in particular. This thing has just done this halving event that we've all been looking forward to. The ETFs have launched. You study Bitcoin very closely. We're on the verge of $67,000 right now. And I think, you follow it very deeply because you're invested in it and you're trying to understand how the asset would perform. Why do you have conviction this thing's actually going to 100,000 by the end of the year?
Yeah. All right. So
I love how you have to take a pause. You're just like,
Yeah.
I've got so much to say on this.
I got so much to say because a lot of people become Bitcoin and crypto experts. I've been in crypto for quite a while. I use a lot of DeFi, and I actually understand it, and a lot of DeFi outside of crypto, outside of Bitcoin. I'm sorry, and sometimes people speak about stuff that they don't know, and it bugs me out sometimes. Same in regular finance and things like that. So it's quite simple. If you want to look at it from an economic standpoint, very, very simple. Supply and demand. There's a certain amount of demand, whatever the demand is. X is demand, whatever. It could be $1, it could be $1 million, $1 billion, doesn't matter. There's demand. And there's a certain amount of supply for the demand. And as long as the supply can quench the demand, you're good. You're essentially neutral, plus or minus, but you're neutral. Now, if the demand stays constant or the demand increases while the supply decreases, all of a sudden you have a price spike. This is everywhere. This is literally inflation when you go to the store. This is when there's, 10 apples and you really, really want to buy an apple and there's 10 people to buy an apple, the price is going to stay constant. But if there's 10 people that want to buy the same exact apple and now there's only 5 apples instead of 10 apples, well, the 5 people that are willing to spend more money are going to buy the apple. And as there's less supply, the price of those apples are going to increase. So the last apple left of those 5 from the 10 is going to be the most expensive because you still have 6 people who want that last apple, right? There was originally 10. So this is what's happening with Bitcoin. If you understand supply and demand on the very, very basic level, this is where we're at right now. Because of the supply and demand, I believe that Bitcoin is going to shoot up because you have a crazy amount of demand that came in from the ETFs. You could see this. The craziest part about the ETFs right now is that people say, oh, this is the event. This is not the event. The ETFs is just starting.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean this is not the event?
So the demand from the ETFs are here. It's real. You could see it. BlackRock comes out. I think for BlackRock, it's the ETFs from Bitcoin is bringing in 70% of their inflows. And I think 50% of their inflows. And for Fidelity, it's 70% of their inflows is coming from Bitcoin right now, from their Bitcoin ETF. So the demand is there. You cannot, argue that. But the actual demand is about to increase many folds. Why? When you have an ETF and you have financial advisors like mom and pop financial firms and local firms, small firms, they're not offering these products yet. If you ask them for the product, your financial advisor is going to say, sure, we can get you into this ETF, but they're not actively pushing it. That's going to change extremely soon, probably in the next 1 to 2 months. The ETF issuers are flying around and speaking, especially the Bitwise one. The guy is, I forgot the guy's name. Is his name Eric? Not Eric Warren. I forgot. I know you know who I'm talking about. And he's literally flying around the country speaking to financial advisors, talking about to push the product or not. Soon, people are going to actively push it. So now, you're a high net worth individual. You're 60 years old. You're older. I'm going to come up to you as a financial advisor and be like, listen, I have this thing that if you put in 1 to 3% of your worth, I believe that you can outperform significantly the markets if you don't just put in the 1 to 3. And I believe
it's not a lot. 1% is a little bit. 1% is a little bit for most
Correct.
people. Right.
And when you see that IBIT just had 70 days of positive inflows,
Yep.
only 10% of all ETFs have ever done that.
Yep.
IBIT hit the record. I believe the last record for gold, it took them like 4 years to get to a billion or 10 billion for assets under management for their ETF.
The demand is unprecedented. The demand is unprecedented. It's absolutely unprecedented. People want access.
But the supply just went down. So the supply is no longer 900 Bitcoin, it's 450 Bitcoin per day. So whether you believe it or not, supply and demand, the demand is there. You cannot argue it. The demand is going to increase even more. This is going to happen. The supply stays constant, and the supply just got cut in half and is going to remain cut in half for 4 years until it gets cut in half again. However, I don't think the next cut in halves are going to be as significant because you're not going to get that influx of demand. So what's going to happen now in the next year to 2 years is going to be so crazy for Bitcoin that we're never going to see it again. Not to say it's not going to go up and down, but this is the time to be into crypto. And I was saying it on the channel since July. And that's the thesis for the Bitcoin in the very basic sense of it.
There you go. Let's talk a little bit about some of these other stocks we've got going on. So Palantir, let's talk about this one. You have a lot of shares of Palantir. What do you feel about the company? It went from 16 to 27 back to 22. You think this is fair value? You think Q1's going to crush it? What is your perspective on that one?
So by every metric, this seems like Q1 is going to crush it because the AIPs, and they just keep increasing AIPs. It got to the point where I stopped even following daily of what's happening to Palantir, except for like your show. But I'm not like before. I was like all day looking at Palantir. But essentially, we had that moment of, I'm sure it's happening. It's just a matter of time now, and it seems like it's moving in the right direction consistently. And what's happening around the world right now, Palantir is needed more than ever. You could believe in it. You could not believe in it. At the end of the day, just open up your eyes and see the world is effed in many various different ways. And Palantir, for better or for worse, is intertwined with all of that, trying to make it better from their point of view. Believe in it, not believe in it, they are much, much needed. Look at Germany. Germany told Palantir, go F yourself. All of a sudden they're running back and they're like, no, not F yourself. Forget about this political views. We need you. We need you. It's not that they're, we need you. We fucked up. We told you to go F yourself because of political views, even though our law enforcement was shouting you out. Even though our law enforcement that actually uses you on a daily basis is saying, we want Palantir. It actually works. The politician says, we don't care. It's a bad look. Well, now the politicians are running back and they're like, we have a problem. You know why? Because the threat in the world is real. Shit is heating up. It's not going to get better overnight. It's probably not going to get better. There's always some type of conflict.
So I think the geopolitical stuff is also another reason why we've both been bullish on Palantir, because we know the world is not in the best situation given everything that has been happening. And Palantir is a bit of a hedge to that. And on top of that, they've got this sweet commercial business that, as you were saying, Bloomberg just put out this article, AIP keeps growing because of the boot camps. Do you think 22 is fair value for Palantir?
I mean, I've been saying for the longest time that $20 is a magnet. It goes up and down from $20. And I play selling my cash secured puts and my covered calls right around that number. It seems like the base is now $20 and it might start going up. I think 22 is fair. I think at 27 it was overvalued. You guys can kill me. You guys can.
Oh no, we all can agree. It was too.
Yeah, and I put my money where my mouth is. I was literally playing covered calls at $22 strike the entire quarter. Amit knows. I literally just got out of my plays. Every week I'm selling them and making money. I'm probably going to do $27 covered calls for earnings. That's going to be my next play. But $22 seems a little bit more fair. Can it still go below 20? Sure, it could. But if it goes below 20, I think it's going to shoot right back up. What's going to happen right now in earnings? I think they're just going to show an increase in expansion of clients, and they're going to show an increase in the amount of AIP boot camps. Again, supply and demand. As the demand is going to increase for Palantir AIP, they're going to be able to raise the price and the offerings for that service. As the demand is going to keep increasing and they're going to renew their contracts, they're going to charge more money for those contracts. And AIP is always stacked on Gotham or Foundry. People keep forgetting about that. It's not a standalone product, which should increase our bottom line. And I'm looking forward to net dollar retention. That's probably going to happen in quarter 2, 3, and 4 of this year, which is what we were saying last year when we saw the increase happen. Remember, net dollar retention is trailing 12 months. So you got to see when this all started.
Give me your thoughts. Bitcoin right here about 67,000. CleanSpark is at $20. Adam, are you bullish on the miners? And if you are bullish, which one are you excited about?
I am bullish only on CleanSpark. I don't hold any other of the miners. I sold out of them a while ago, and I'm a proponent of CleanSpark only. I think they just do it better. I think their management is better. I don't know too much about the miners, like the actual miners, their business, their financials, things like that. I know of miners, how they work, and the technology behind it. But it seems from everything that I see and the ones that are in the space, the Twitter spaces happen to be CleanSpark.
Right.
And it seems like it's like a winner-take-most market. It seems like CleanSpark is the front runner. It seems like CleanSpark is that horse. It seems like that's the one that the market is attaching to. So I'm going to attach to the best, the best in breed, which is CleanSpark.
So you own CleanSpark. That's the one you own.
Yeah, I own it in options plays. I have a CleanSpark $10 strike that expires January 2025.
Oh, so you're up on that. You're up on that. You're up a little bit on that.
300% on that one. I have a 1250 strike for CleanSpark, which expires January 25. I'm up like 136% on that. And then I have a big position of a $20 strike for CleanSpark, which expires January 2025. And that one's up around 12%. It's been a really rocky road. But overwhelmingly, most of my investments is going to be for micro strategies, and I hold a lot of shares and a lot of options, $600 strikes and $2,000 strikes. And as it was going down recently, I was buying more.
Talk to me about the one that I have a deep love for because I think they're going to pull it off, and it's been really exciting to see them on this journey. Robinhood, what do you think earnings is going to look like, and do you think they crush and surprise people in terms of how serious of a brokerage they actually are?
Well, Robinhood is going to absolutely smash.
Oh, they do. They're going to fucking crush.
Robinhood.
They're going to fucking crush this.
Yeah, they're absolutely going to smash. I think we have a big probability of going to $30, especially if Bitcoin hits $100. They're going to bring in so many clients. The only thing is you're going to have to look at the cost for acquisition is probably going to go up higher because they're spending a lot of money to acquire the companies. The clients. And Wall Street, which I don't think is going to happen, might be like, well, they're spending so much money, they can't keep this up. But they're not going to see the bigger picture. Maybe they don't see it that way. I don't think they're going to see it that way. But in the bigger picture is whoever they're bringing in now are going to bring in profits in the future because it's all about stacking different products.
Right.
Similar to SoFi, right? You stack different products. I have a significant amount in Robinhood as well. And I think it's going to crush for us, man.
I think it's going to go well. I think those gold numbers are going to go up, deposits are going to go up, and then trading volumes as well are going to be okay. And I do think they're going to drive it profitably. I don't think Vlad's going to make them unprofitable and just say, oh, we're acquiring customers, because I think they figured out the expense situation, how to decrease operating expenses. At least that's what I saw on the deck for Q4.
Dude,
and where they should be.
I was sharing it with you. I was playing chess, and me and Ahmed play chess.com. By the way, remember I said that there was a Palantir guy that caught me on chess.com? He's actually in the chat. He says, Adam, when are we playing chess again? I'm almost positive it's that guy. He said it earlier. By chance, somebody found me on chess.com, and I thought it was somebody else. And he's like, nah, I watch you and Ahmed, because on chess.com, I have a little Palantir sign to the moon.
Yeah.
And on chess.com, literally, I got 3 ads already for Robinhood.
Yep.
I think they're going to absolutely crush. I don't know what fair value is. I don't know about any of that. I think they're going to absolutely, absolutely crush. And I think it's a great hold. I think people got into it. Shout out to Jesse, who probably got most people into the play.
Yep.
And it's just going to be interesting to see what we're going to do with after that. But I do have some $8 calls for 2026, so I'm probably going to hold those for a while.
Yeah, there's no point.
And
Just let them ride out. Yeah.
I think Robinhood is going to smash against these big firms. They're just better. They are so much better. And I'm sorry to the SoFi heads. I opened up a SEP IRA. I had to do it on the SoFi because Robinhood don't offer it. And although SoFi is better than the traditional brokerages, it is so behind Robinhood. And now I know SoFi is not a brokerage, like mainly. That's not their big thing. I'm just saying that Robinhood excels. I can't use Webull to buy. I still don't know how to buy on Webull. It's the worst. Webull is the worst platform I've seen in my life. I rather
good at the charts. It's good at the
Schwab.
chart.
Yeah, I rather use Schwab than Webull. Like, I am totally lost using Webull. I think Robinhood is going to keep smashing, and they're just going to keep acquiring customers. Once you're a Robinhood user, you're not going to leave. I don't know a single person that I personally brought into Robinhood that said, Adam, I don't like it. Every single person stays with Robinhood because it's just so much better to use. And they're going to get better, right? The whole UI is going to be,
dude,
UI is the moat.
I found this picture today. They're hiring people for their futures product. So they're bringing futures trading very soon. There's some job listings they had today. So, they innovate, dude. Vlad said Q2. We haven't even seen anything from him. He had a tweet like Q2 is going to be even crazier. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see how it plays out. Tell me about the option strategy you're running on SoFi. And then after that, what do you expect for their earnings in next week?
I'm trying not to read the comments, man. There's deja vu on YouTube. I'm sorry. Ask the question again.
The comments are the comments, dude. It's always going to be.
I can't I get so heated. Like, there's this one guy making comments. I'm not even going to mention it. What? And I want to speak back. I want to clap back so hard as I usually do. But I'm trying to stay.
Well, this is the name of the game, right? When you're on the stage, the crowd, whether it's in singing or basketball or YouTube, the crowd's going to talk, and you've got to be able to deal with it if you're on the stage. What do you think the SoFi? What is the option strategy you're running on SoFi, and then what do you expect for their earnings on the 29th?
I'm I hate to say it, like I am so successful in my options trades. It's absolutely freaking crazy. Uh, Specifically on selling options, very similar to what TJ does, but a different style, completely different. Not completely, but we have a different style of doing it. And I've been killing it, like so killing it. And I share my plays, and a lot of people are just not paying attention. So I've been saying, and if you guys catch these little nuggets, I always call it in the chats in the morning, but most people just they don't pay attention. So my play is a 650 put, $6.50 for May 3rd, which is the week of earnings. So I got all the implied volatility, and as long as it doesn't hit 650, I don't have to buy the shares. For this, I was collecting roughly, I was putting up 65K. So I do 100 contracts at a time. So I was making roughly 65K, and I made 27 cents per share. And I did that twice when it dropped down recently, when the Iran-Israel thing was happening.
Yeah.
I sold another 100 shares. So I was able to make $2,700 on $65,000 potential investment. But the craziest thing about Robinhood is you don't actually have to pay margin unless you buy the shares. So
Right.
as long as SoFi doesn't hit 650 by earnings, I essentially printed money. I printed $5,400 out of thin air.
Yeah, let me break that down for
margin,
the
nothing.
let me break that down for the people that don't understand. If you have a certain size account, and Adam has a broader account given his assets, Robinhood will give you a set of margin. Most people think of margin as in, okay, I'm buying something and I'm borrowing money from the brokerage, whether it's Robinhood, Schwab, whatever, and I have to pay them back with interest. When you sell an option, you have to put up collateral. So if Adam's putting up $65,000 in collateral, he's putting up $65,000 of collateral that Robinhood gives him, given the size of his account, on margin. But you're not paying interest until you actually get assigned the shares. And if you're right about the strike price, you don't, if SoFi stays above 650, you don't have to take the shares. You just keep the premium. So you use the brokerage's margin collateral to print the premium on top of it. And then if you do get assigned, if you have enough cash to buy the shares, which Adam does, you're never going to have to pay for the margin, right? Because you're paying it outright. So it's a pretty genius thing to do. And it obviously you have to be really sophisticated with how you work with it, but it makes sense.
So those are my plans. And the reason why, just to go, a lot of people don't understand technical analysis and don't want to learn technical analysis. You don't have to be a Jesse who's phenomenal in technical analysis. You just need to learn a couple of things that work for you. And this is something that I did, and I do it really, really well for what I need. Essentially, if you're looking at the volume indicators and you're looking at the Bollinger Bands, you can try to forecast to the best possible way of the last resistances. And 690 and 650 are such strong resistance for SoFi. Unless it all goes to shit, SoFi is not going to drop below that 650 mark.
Right.
And I think they're going to have a triple beat on earnings as well. And I think I'll be good on the trade. And essentially I do this over and over and over again, rinse and repeat with different type of plays.
Yeah, and I've got to give Adam some credit. I mean, I am learning about selling options because I really think of it as a sophisticated business that you could launch if you understand it really well and if you have a decent amount of capital. And I think it makes the most sense versus gambling in the casino to be the casino dealer. And I remember I called you up like multiple times over the past month, and you just sit with me for hours and just like talk about, like, this is what I think is so valuable from the network that we're building in this whole community, right? Like, it's not easy to call someone up who's playing with real money and who can legitimately teach someone who wants to get real money how to do this, So I value it. It really means a lot to me.
And the thing is, a lot of people are so scared, and I don't blame you guys. A lot of people are just so scared about trying new things. Just try, guys. Try. You only need to try with one option. You don't have to do a million contracts. Just one contract, and then you learn. I was selling, now I'm doing this for over a year now, consistently, every single week, hundreds of contracts. And now I got the hang of it. And now I consider myself, I guess, I don't know if I can call myself pro, but moderate, but I'm really, really good at it. And you can manage it. Like, what does TJ say?
Manufacture the win.
Manufacture the win. Manufacture the win. It's true. If you know how to roll, if you know how to buy out of your contracts, if you know how to risk management, really, really helps. I prefer 1 week contracts usually, but whenever there's some crazy thing that happens in the market, like right now, Tesla, That's going to be my next plays for options. It looks like. I'm of course waiting patiently for Tesla to go to the lower 100s, but you never know what's going to happen in the future, right? It might not happen, and I'll do a different play. That's fine. But yeah.
Yeah, I want to say one thing on that, and then I want to talk about Tesla, and then we'll end it off. I do think that selling options, again, it is hard to learn. I have a whole playlist on my channel with TJ where literally, I mean, there's like 12 episodes, 12 hours of like the most knowledge you could ever ask for. So the information is out there. The question is, do you want to learn about it and take the time to learn? The other thing about selling options is that this is not gambling in the traditional sense of, oh, let's buy CleanSpark at 12 and hope it goes to 20. This is a much different way of engaging with the derivatives market. And I think it's a much more safer way of understanding it, even though it does take a lot of patience and, accumulation of knowledge to truly understand, because trades can go wrong, but how do you manage that? How do you learn that? How do you deal with that? I think that's all important. But that to me is exciting. Like, it's not as exciting to just buy a stock and it goes up and you made a ton of money on options. Like, because at the end of the day, that's still gambling. But learning how to facilitate transactions on a weekly basis, as you're doing, to manage your positions, it's hard to do. But once you learn that, it becomes a legit business. Buying options is not a business. Like, you're gambling. You're hoping the stock goes up. Selling options is a business. And I think that's why it gets exciting as well.
I think the statistic is, and I don't quote me because I didn't get the statistic. I'm following what other people say, but I believe the statistic was like 85% of the people that buy options lose.
Yes, because they buy these stupid weekly and monthly options where the stock's not going to get there. Whereas you and I are selling, as TJ says, the meth to the meth heads, right? We're selling those options to those people.
For me, every time SoFi hits $7, and I did it several times, it's not just these contracts. Right before that, I had the contracts where I was selling for weekly, and I was selling them at $7 strike. The only reason I did 650 is because I did them a little bit longer. I did them for earnings. So I did a 3-week option play, which usually I don't. I usually like 1 week because I can control it more, but you got to be managing it more. TJ likes 1 month contracts for the most part, as far as I remember, because he needs less managing. He can set it and forget it. And then like in 2 weeks, he'll look at it. In 3 weeks, he'll look at it. I like a crazy event that drops the price like crazy, and then I will sell options on that. And and I use some technicals on that.
Me and Adam mainly do leaps, but even if you have PayPal leaps, sometimes you still might lose on those. We'll see by the end of the year. Adam did get rid of his PayPal.
I couldn't, man. I could not do it, man. I just couldn't do it anymore.
The right choice. You went to MicroStrategy.
Maybe I'll get into them. Yeah, I put them into MicroStrategy. I took the loss. It's one of the few option losses that I had to take this year. But that's okay. You don't need all of them. You just need some of them. And although I don't have HIMS anymore, like I don't support the company, a lot of people made good money on it. I was talking about it for a while.
HIMS was, you were making a video every day when it was $2, $3 for a year. And then the dude said he supports Palestine, and then you sold. But still,
no, that was not the reason. That was not the reason. That was absolutely not the reason. I don't want to get into it, but it wasn't that. It was definitely
it was a political reason you didn't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, man, and that's it. That's where we're at right now. But there's always plays in the market, and the best ways to do this is to pick a couple of stocks that you really like and know a lot about it and play those. Like play Robinhood, play SoFi, play Palantir. Most people here all know about that, right?
And the big thing is having conviction as well. Because if you lost conviction in HIMS for whatever reason, you don't play with it anymore, right? Whether it's you don't like the founder, whether it's you don't believe in the company, but like that's the most important thing. You win and lose. Like same thing with PayPal. Lost conviction on PayPal, you got out of it, you moved on. Lost conviction on HIMS, get it. But you have to sleep at night. And if you can't sleep at night because you just don't believe in the company anymore, it gets tough to keep holding it.
Yeah, like I love Palantir, man. I love this company so much, and I can't wait to buy a lot more shares of Palantir. I have like a number that I want that we'll share in the live stream, and I'm just gonna sell options on my Palantir. You can make comfortably, by the way, guys. I'm talking about comfortably without much risk. Obviously, there's a risk, so I don't say there's a risk, but probably at a 90% that it's in your favor, especially if you know how to roll, you increase those favors like crazy, that you're going to make steady 1% a month on your money. So let's say you have $1 million, you can make 120 grand salary on the $1 million.
Yeah.
Now there are taxes on that, but still, that's a freaking really, really good. So essentially, if you have $2 million, with a little bit of risk, you making $250,000 a year. That's not bad. You essentially retired, right?
So Suri says we need a video on this, Adam. Any thoughts on
Of
coming
what?
back to YouTube? On doing everything you're doing? Any thoughts on?
Oh man, I'll be honest with you. I used to do all of these videos. Nobody watched it. You know, nobody watched it. My videos never took off. I try to show people. I think I got into there's this one guy. He's a police officer in the special unit. He follows you as well. I forgot his name already. I think he's literally the only person that got into Bitcoin when I said this is the bottom at 25K.
Yeah.
The only one. Nobody. It's tough, man.
It's a grind. It's a grind. The algorithm. It's a grind, dude. It's a lot.
Yeah, and unless you're doing clickbait, which all of a sudden everyone's a Palantir bull, right? All of a sudden, I saw a lot of people do it in the comments. All of a sudden, everyone's a Palantir bull. And then the people, and because they have larger channels, they take over the algorithm and you kind of lose. It really, really, really sucks. So it's hard. Will I ever do YouTube again? I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? But it's tough, and it really gets, and I get riled up a lot. Everybody knows that. So it's hard because
you have your opinions. You get, and like sometimes
Yeah.
people don't like when you have political opinions. You'll like if you don't like a company and you don't like this, you don't like how a politician's acting, and sometimes politics, people get turned off by that. So
yeah,
but that's who
maybe
you are.
in
You
the
can't change who
future-
you are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just as real as possible. Maybe in the future, and it's crazy too because I get the biggest comments of "you live in your mom's basement," and I used to get on crypto even more. And I'm just like, dude, it's so absolutely crazy that people are saying that, and it gets you kind of irked. You're like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you say, Adam? You don't know shit. I'm like, I'm not. Maybe I don't know shit, but I'm probably playing with more money than you, making more money than you, openly showing it, right? Like I'm openly showing it in my plays. And it's absolutely freaking crazy because you get no traction. Nobody watches. I'll make a tax video. Nobody cares. Well,
tell people you're not
cares.
living off your market portfolio. You actually have money because you've been in real estate for a while, right? That's where your real money comes from.
Yeah, I own. So if anybody doesn't know my story, so I didn't come to YouTube to try to make money. I already made a decent amount, not crazy money, but a decent amount. Whatever that means to you is whatever it means to you in real life. So I have a business that I had for 20 years, 21 years now or so. I still have it. And I own several pieces of real estate and I have my investments. So I was able to have a good life through my business. And I did YouTube because my kids were born and I wanted to be in their life. So I kind of quit my own business, focusing on my kids. And I did YouTube as a side hustle to see if it's going to grow. As my kids are growing older, my son right now is 2 years, 7 months, and my daughter's about to be 1 year at the end of this month. I'm like, all right, well, I don't have to be, it's a different type of activity. As your kids grow older, the parents will know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And I'm concentrating on other things. But one of the best decisions I ever made, believe it or not, was to get away from YouTube to concentrate on my financials to be able to make these financial plays. Because, you're always doing something on YouTube. You have no time to concentrate almost. If you didn't have your community that you call and talk and learn, Chris and Derek and all these people, it would be really, really hard for you to learn. And most YouTubers are full of shit. They broke fuckers. These YouTubers are fucking broke. And shout out to Amin who came out and said, yo, I'm just a young dude. This is my journey. I'm learning. And he's learning leaps and bounds all the time. But the people that don't know shit, they literally don't know shit. They broke. They will always be broke. They only make money because of you guys, because you guys are buying programs and donating money. You guys are freaking funding their lifestyle. Just remember that. They fucking broke. They are broke. They're fucking broke without you guys. And these are the people that people are following, and it boggles my mind. I'll talk to a real estate channel that'll be a real estate guru. I'll talk to them. They don't know shit. I'll talk to somebody who's a crypto channel. They don't know shit. Bitcoin, Ethereum. You know what I mean? Like, it's not everybody. And it boggles my mind. You'll talk to them about short-term, long-term capital gains. They don't know shit. They don't know nothing. They don't know shit. And the reason they don't is because they never made money. Let me tell you guys something. I will.
Now we got Adam fired up. Now we got Adam fired up. Here we go.
Listen to me very, 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 very carefully. Any YouTuber that came out and said, I bought a house on cash, made all his money on your backs. Let me rephrase that again. Pretty much, not all, but pretty much the YouTubers that came out after Corona and said, I bought this house for cash, made that money from you guys. You know why? Because they don't have pay stubs for 2 years to justify a mortgage. They cannot get a mortgage because they were broke before they started YouTube. And they made money off of you guys. And all of a sudden, they're buying something and you guys start following them. And all of a sudden, they're gurus. It's freaking crazy. It's so sick.
Yeah, and I think the thing about you is that you obviously have made your money in the past, but you couldn't you couldn't work the YouTube algorithm as good as those guys, and so that created the like annoyingness for you of YouTube, right? Which is that you know your shit, but the algorithm is a whole different beast, and that's what makes it tough to put in that much effort every single day.
All good, man.
All right, let's get your last thoughts on Tesla. Where is this thing going? What is your plays on this one? And today's earnings, does it tank or does it go up?
Oh, I think Tesla is going to tank. I think, and it's going to be very interesting to see what Elon's going to do. Is Elon going to be carefree? I don't give a fizzle. Or is Elon actually going to be active with some enthusiasm? If Elon's going to be active with enthusiasm, he's back. He's in God mode. He is going to take this company to the moon. I don't know if people are going to catch it. This is what I'm hoping. This is truly what I'm hoping. At least in appreciate your honesty, candidate. Oh, thank you so much, Jordan. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I love how Adam went from being like, they are broke to, oh, thank you so much. Thank you so You're a teddy bear, dude. You're a nice guy at the end of the day.
Straight up. I'm just so honest. That's it. I'm just honest. This is the way we are from Brooklyn. Like, we're just very, very honest. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I was always answering people's questions when I had a YouTube channel. I used to get on the phone with so many subscribers, talking to them. I'm not advising, but I was just talking to them and hey, what's up? And that's not appreciated in YouTube because unfortunately, sheep. People are sheep. 90% of people will follow the 10% who are the leaders. It's absolutely freaking absurd. Be a leader, don't be a follower. And everybody follows the same YouTubers that get those clicks and likes. It's sick. And when I tried to play that game, it made me disgusted. Like sick. I wanted to vomit. Yeah. But you got to pay attention to what Elon's going to do. If Elon's going to be nonchalant, like no enthusiasm again, I don't know. But I'm thinking he's going to have a lot of enthusiasm all of a sudden. The numbers are not going to be great. And I think he's going to pull this company out of the fire. Maybe he's excited because of he's going to have his package, right? His new pay package. Maybe he's doing all of this to show that the company is going to shit. I need a pay package in order to bring the company, revitalize it. But I would love to get into those 2026, probably December 26, 330 strikes on Tesla. That would be absolutely freaking beautiful. And that will probably, with Palantir, be one of my bigger plays after I get out of MicroStrategy, and hopefully it all plays out. But I would.
What price do you think Tesla goes down to? You think it hits 100? You think it's possible?
It's possible. I'm not a huge technical guy. I believe that I follow a lot what Jesse says, and Jesse, I believe his number was 124 was the bottom that he sees, and he goes by the Fibonacci lines, which is an actual thing. I thought technical analysis was all bullshit, but the more I read on it, the more I look at things, there is something to it. So he believes it goes 124. I'm not too greedy. I have the opportunity to wait. And if you have the opportunity to wait in stocks or in real estate or everything, that's when you make the most money. So we'll see how enthusiastic it's going to be. But I think it's going to bomb tomorrow.
If it bombs tomorrow, if it bombs, does he deserve $47 billion in the pay package?
Sure. He deserves the $57 billion that he was supposed to get in the beginning. He was supposed to get it. Guys, they straight up robbed him. And then the attorney that took him to court demanded wasn't like $7 billion of compensation, some ridiculous
it's
number.
insane, dude. It's insane.
Guys, if you don't think, I don't think people understand. The person that brought the lawsuit against Elon owned 7 shares, 7 or 8, some stupid under 10 shares of Tesla. Let me repeat that again. The person that brought the lawsuit against Elon had roughly $3,000 worth of shares, not 3,000 shares, $3,000 worth of shares. That's who brought the lawsuit. Meanwhile, everybody voted for him to get his pay package.
Right.
He's going to bring this company back. Those robots, the taxis, it's going to come in the future. This is just an opportunity to buy. And I'm not like a huge bull of Tesla, but I think it's a great buying opportunity. I wouldn't say this at 300, but at low 100s and buying options, you're going to get a multi-bagger, in my opinion, what I'm going to do. Not advice, of course.
What is your price prediction on MicroStrategy?
Or
Or at least what are you holding it till? 2,000, 2,500?
I think if Bitcoin doubles from here and hits around that 130 range, I think that MicroStrategy is probably going to hit 3,500.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Okay.
Is going to happen. Now, I don't know what's going to happen in between. I don't know anything, but for me personally, after this happens, I'm going to be very risk off, and I'm going to be invested in a lot of dividends, a lot of S&Ps, a lot of QQQ. Now, that doesn't mean I'm still going to have a larger Palantir position, a larger Tesla position than most people. But for me, I'm going to be risk off. Like,
so
let's bet on this.
Let's end it on this. Let's talk about your plan. So your plan essentially this year was to use the volatility of the market to the upside on some more risky assets, pegged against Bitcoin, to be able to then make some money to then get a little bit more safe, which I think is it's the way to build wealth in any field. You have to solidify and then diversify. Same thing if you're building a startup or a business, right? You have to solidify, go all in on something, and then use what you get from that to diversify into different assets. What is the plan after this year if it works out the way you want it to work out?
Yeah. So I think over time, 99% of us are going to lose against the market. Over time, we are all eventually going to lose against S&P 500. We're all going to lose against QQQ. We're all going to lose against these markets. This is over time because an individual stock, yes, here and there, but that's the exception, not the rule. We can all pick. Palantir, in my opinion, is going to outperform like crazy. And I think we all found our Palantir, right? It's Palantir. But most people are not in Palantir, and it's not guaranteed, guys. It's nothing.
Yeah, Palantir could have a bad year. Look at Tesla. Palantir could have a bad year one year. You never know, right?
Sure. So what is guaranteed, and although it doesn't look as guaranteed as it was in the past, but still, is America. America falls, like it, love it, doesn't matter. The rest of the world falls. It's still the leader. Although it's losing, it's still the leader. It's losing not as leader, right? So I believe S&P 500 is a strong investment. QQQ is a strong investment. And even the world index is a strong investment. If you don't need to make crazy gains, reduce your risk. That's my plan. So Chris's Brookfield's play, Truist, Verizon, some gas companies, all for dividend plays. And then we're going to sell covered calls on my dividend plays. Also for S&P 500s, for QQQ, and a couple of other different indexes, as well as I'm going to sell calls on those. So I'm going to be collecting my dividend, and I'm going to be selling calls on those. And for my risk play, I'm going to be playing a lot of Palantir. You guys might not agree that it's a risk play, but this is a risk on play, despite what you guys think. But that is my risk play, Palantir. That's like my growth. That's my Microsoft. That's my Google. And then I'm going to still play, I'll probably play like $500,000 worth of different type of options, you know, be it Tesla, this option, or a SoFi option. I'm just going to sell options when I get a chance to, borrowing money in Robinhood without paying any margin and just collect money from selling more cash secure puts. So I'm going to be very risk off. Probably like 80% of my portfolio is going to be risk off. Very boring stocks that you guys would not like. And 20% risk on.
I think it's a good plan, dude. It's a good plan because at the end of the day, yeah, we all lose against the market. And the reason so many people are up this year, not just on the buy side of options, but also the sell side, is because when you're selling options, you're hoping the thing stays stable to an extent. And markets have gone up, or you actually, at cash trade puts, you want the stock to go up, right? So it doesn't reach your strike. If we had a 2022 year, the put sellers are getting screwed. The covered calls sellers are maybe getting a little bit of benefit. Option buyers are getting screwed. We haven't had a 2022 year in about 2 years, and maybe we don't get it for another year or two. But that year could come at any time, and so being diversified there matters.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the last good question. What was the age when you made your first million? I think you're in your 30s, right?
I'm not sure. I think I bought my home at 31, so I would say right around there.
Right around that time, right? Yeah.
I think don't quote me. It's plus or minus, but around a more significant number. And I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not a Derek. I'm not freaking super wealthy or stuff like that. I'm just a normal average Joe that comes from a really, really humble beginning, to say the least.
I know about those beginnings. Yep.
And and was able to get out. Single mom, 2 kids, loved us to death, did everything she possibly can, worked my ass off, built the business, was able to give people in my employ a better life, take care of them as well, and do a little bit better. You get a property, you borrow against the property, you get another property, and now I have several properties that I do Section 8 with, but to be honest, I'm going to sell those properties and probably put the money in a REIT because real estate is not as worth it as it was before. However, if you have sweat equity and you need the money, real estate is still a good play, but you really need to work hard for it right now. So yeah.
That's the reason I look up to you, dude. I mean, like, you worked your ass off. You came from very humble beginnings. You and me, Indians and Russians, we both take care of our family. We know what it means to, if we make some good money this year in the markets, like, I want to pay for my dad's car that he just bought. I know you want to take care of your family. Like, I think we're both humble, and we can be humbled by the markets. We also understand that we're not out here like some AMC fucking GameStop lunatics thinking that we're just going to make, like, no, we understand this is a very tough game to win. We've done okay this year, but everything could go away. So we got to really, really be humble and see what we can do,
Yeah, you just got to follow and play the play. And that's why I appreciate your channel and what you bring in. I don't really watch the news anymore. I watch your channel essentially, and I'll watch Jesse's channel a lot for some additional at the end of the day. And I like the fact that you came out at 25 years old and you're just like, listen, guys, I don't have the most experience. I'm just learning. This is my journey. But think about it. So Ahmed has more than I had at his age, which is what I was telling him at the bougie restaurant that he was talking about, which is sick, by the way.
It was such a good burger. It was such a good burger.
It was great. It was a really nice restaurant, guys. Really, really nice restaurant. If you guys ever come to New York, Restoration Hardware, it's on the rooftop. If you have a special event or with your girl or something, it's a great play for you guys to enjoy. But I like the fact that you came out and you were just honest, man. It's just, you can't overlook the honesty. How can you get mad at somebody? Sometimes Ahmed gets criticism. He lives at home with his parents. But bro, he's not telling you any, like, he's not flossing, he's not flexing. He's telling you guys honestly, I am learning. This is my journey. And dude, if you follow his journey and how much he had in the beginning, I think his journey started, if I'm not mistaken, $30,000 into Palantir, something like that.
Yeah.
Like, he put everything he had and he bought Palantir. That was it, guys. That was it. And now he has over 6 figures. I'm not going to get into his thing, but over 6 figures. Think about that. Just think about it. Let that sink in. In a matter of 3 years, he 3x'd his portfolio through investments or earning money, at least. That's not bad.
It was mainly, it was also through options and understanding the options market, which is tough to do at 25 years old. But like you, Chris, everyone helped out. And like, I just like to think of myself as a sponge for information. And that's why I latch on to people like you, because you've got a lot of information, and being a sponge that allows me to communicate to the audience that I'm so thankful for every morning that comes to listen to the information that I'm bringing to them, because I can get it from people like you.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. You're doing great. The whole community is doing great. It's really cool what you're doing with Derek. And shout out to the entire community, man. You guys are really, really doing amazing. Anybody that's learning, it's not about the losses. I know it's going to sound so cliche. It's not about you know, how hard you hit, it's how hard you get up or something, right? But that's the truth, right? Everybody has trials and tribulations. Everybody has ups and downs. And I promise you, if you've never had downs and all of a sudden you're going to make $1 million, $2 million, $10 million in the stock market, I promise you within a year, you're going to lose all that money. You have to have the downs to enjoy the ups. You have to have the experience of getting shitted on to enjoy the great things of life. That's a fact.
Shout out to Lewis.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Shout out to Lewis. Grew up in a trailer. We are blessed. I love that. It's the American dream that we're trying to live. By the way, Derek just texted me. He said, tell Adam I love that guy. Even though I don't, he used to watch your videos a lot. So he says, I don't know him,
He's
but I
great,
love him.
man. He's great. And you know, that's it, man. That's it. The American dream, although it's really fucked right now, it's still not dead. It's just kind of in hibernation, but anybody can do it. It's crazy. All you need
I mean,
is
dude,
internet.
like think of it. You grew up single mom, and then you real estate. You're making millions off that. Then you learn about stock market. I'm growing up building a media company on YouTube. Like, you can only do this in America, dude. There's not a lot of places where you can really build from the beginning and have these opportunities. So,
dude,
it's exciting.
I'm literally right now. I was with my son and in my mom's crib, and that's my number one thing. I'm a great father. I that's all I care about. All I care about is taking care of my son and my daughter right now. That's my number one priority. Like, literally, the reason I'm making money right now, and Ahmed knows that, is so that I can be around my kids all day long and I don't have to go back to my business to work all the time. That is literally my goal, to make money, to spend time with my kids, to give them everything. Not spoil them, but give them everything in terms of my time and my love. I don't care if it's corny. That's my goal. I was in my mom's house and I got my son pizza. And she goes like, Adam, you remember we used to go to this pizza shop where we used to live? And she's like, you know, I used to get you guys a slice of pizza and we used to cut it in half for me and half for my sister, because that's all
Damn.
we could afford.
Wow.
Because we did that once a week, and she got us one slice of pizza, because every time we walked by a place, you know, we had food on the table, don't get me wrong, guys, but every time we walk by in the place, you don't want a hot dog at home, you want a hot dog from the street vendor. You want to see people eating pizza, you feel me? So my mom used to separate the pizza, and she's like, yo, why do you love me so much? I'm like, because you gave up everything for me and my sister. So my sister are mad nice to my mom. We take care of her like Indian kids, right? We take care of our mother because she was so good to us. So at the end of the day, it's crazy where everybody starts, but we all have an ability to make money because of this internet. And we live in America with still a lot of opportunities. You feel me? So, you know, just keep grinding, people.
It's a big deal, dude, and that makes me emotional, because I know how much my mom sacrificed, dude. They came from immigrants from India. Your parents immigrant, like, they sacrificed so fucking much to give us a chance, dude. So fucking much. Slice of
Your
pizza.
Your parents too.
Slice of
it's crazy. It's so crazy. And you know what baffles my mind? Sorry, I'm gonna get into a little bit off. So many kids these days don't take care of their parents. They forget about them. Bro, your parent, if you had a good parent, I'm not talking about bad parents. How can you forget about your parents, bro? Call them, go to see them, go to lunch, take them out. They did everything for you, especially a good mom. Dad's is iffy, right? But a good mom, like, a mom loves you unconditionally, unless your mom's a crackhead. No offense to anybody, but you know what I'm saying? Like, unless your mom is a bad person, your mom loves you.
Eminem has entered the chat. Eminem has entered the chat. Yeah, Eminem.
Anyways, I'm sorry to get
no, dude. It means a lot, dude.
Philosophical.
It's no. I think this is the real stuff people stay for at the end of the day. Like, our parents gave up so much for us. Like, my parents, you know, they weren't the traditional Indian parents. Like, you got to be a doctor, a lawyer, fucking engineer. I'm like, Mom, I want to be on YouTube. They're like, okay. And the next thing you know, you're interviewing Vlad, and you know, it's just like,
Oh my God.
The
so pimp.
You just want to see you like seeing them cry about those things, because that's what it's all for. You know, you fucking doing what you're doing in the market, and your kids are gonna have like one of the most. Your kids are never gonna have to worry about a half a slice of pizza ever.
Correct, ever, and that's the whole point. And another thing, like, I could suggest to all parents. So I speak to a lot of people, like, when we go to birthday parties and kids' parents, and everybody's like, "Oh, I opened up a 529A account. That's like a savings account for when they're going to college and stuff like that, tax deferred and things." And I'm like, yo, why don't you guys have a custodian account for them and invest their money for them? And I'm one of the, I think it's me and one of my friends. We're the only two people that I know out of everybody that I speak to that have investment accounts for their kids. It's so unbelievably crazy. Also, life insurance for your kids. They don't have it. It's like, these parents are stuck on stupid. If you have kids, you want to make sure that you're there for them, even if you're not there for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Tesla says it's refreshing to hear a dad is committed. Dude, it is refreshing to hear you talk
Straight
like
up,
this
straight
because I guess a lot of fathers aren't as forthcoming about, what it means to be a good father. And dude, my dad worked as father. My dad worked at a gas station in 1999 just to make sure, we had food on the, like, you got to work. You got to work. And
Yeah, absolutely, man. And sorry for talking about like all these different
no,
topics,
this
bro.
is dude, it's been 2 hours into the show. Like if we can't talk about real life at this point, this is what you want to talk about. It's just like my dad still wakes up every day at 4 a.m. and goes to fucking work. It's like, and I feel so guilty sometimes because, I've made some decent money this year and I'm here just sitting at my computer, but my dad comes from a different world, right? He doesn't understand that world. And so he has to do hard work. And so what you're doing in the stock market, and you're going to be able to teach your kids how to make money without having to literally pick up bricks. And, it's a big deal.
So my next thing is I would love to make a home office, maybe an investing office. It's not to take other people, bro. I'm not an investing genius. I just know a little bit about some stuff to be able to make some money. And I would love to teach my kids and bestow it on them and have like a home office where a family office where maybe I will get my Series 6, 7, whatever licenses you need. And I'll teach them and we'll use my funds to do covered calls, something like TJ does, a safer type of investment. That would be really cool. So I told I was like, to my girl, I'm like, if they don't decide to go to college, I would not blink an eye. I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean they have to go to college? I'm like, if they learn a skill where they can make money and I could give them the building blocks to utilize those skills, what is the point of college to waste 4 years to learn something that might or might not, probably not, help you in actuality in life? So that is my next goal of thinking of how to help my kids and grow the family.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Adam. Dude, we got to do this at least once a month. I know once a week's a little bit too much, but at least once a month, if we can get you on here, I think the community definitely appreciates it and means a lot. So
yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, guys. I'll be back at 3:30 p.m. Get ready. Get your popcorn, your drinks, Tesla earnings. It's going to be an exciting, exciting day.
Did you see the comment on Robinhood for you, by the way? Did you go to the Q&A for Robinhood?
No, it's on Say Technologies, right? It's on
Yeah, it's on the Q&A.
Did you ask the question?
No, somebody else asked the question. I don't know who this person is.
Hold on, that's crazy.
I upped it.
I'm going to check it out right now. Hold on. What did someone say? That's not on the app. I have to go on the desktop. Say Technologies, Robinhood. That's funny, dude. I mean, that people saw that interview. They saw that interview. So, didn't Robinhood buy Say Technologies? Yeah, they bought this shit for 140 million. That's where people get to ask the questions.
Oh shit.
That's the company that allows people to actually. Okay, well, I'll look at it later and we'll look at it. But
yeah,
thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We will see you guys at 3:30 p.m. Have a good one, guys. Good night.
Take care.